David is distracting me in the chat from doing my job. Welcome everybody to the Ultra Chen Tuesday show. My name is James Chen, once again joined by Mr. Ultra David and Tuba Ware. It's not easy, man. Like I was trying to use this camera to comb my hair a little bit earlier, and I was just like, it's impossible. You just can't do it. So
yeah, you can't do it.
Anyway, hello everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. Coming to you live from the Goblin Slums. I was gonna come to you from Necrovol, but then they were like, I can't believe it's not World of Warcraft that you're coming to you, everybody from. So I decided I'd come from the Goblin Slums. Anyway, hello. Let's talk about the following things. We're going to be talking about the Commentator Cup, which of course is this coming weekend. We'll talk about who's playing and who we like and who we think is the underdog and all that sort of stuff. We're going to talk about the ArcRevo. We're going to talk about Free Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We got a guest, Klaige, that we're excited about. We have our own 5-5 matchup. Commentators versus players, battle to the death. Battle to the death, of course, as you all know. There's a bunch of other game news to talk about. We got some other community news, including tournament results to talk about. But let's start by talking about this Commentator Cup that, again, will be taking place in just a few days. Friday, September 24th, 5 p.m. Pacific time on this very channel, twitch.tv/UltraChenTV.
That's right. And of course,
hey James, you have the timer?
Why is the timer not updating? All right.
I don't know.
There we go. All right. So we announced a few weeks ago that we're doing the Commentator Cup, just a little fun thing, because I think players always want to see how the commentators do in games as well. Commentators also don't get to compete a lot. You don't get to see them play. And so I think it'll just be fun to have the commentators have a chance to play against each other, talk some smack. And so we've gathered 16 commentators from around the FGC here in North America. We focused on North America, and they're all going to be playing each other in some Guilty Gear Strive this Friday. And the three of us won't be in it. We'll be commentating, but it should be a lot of fun.
As a result, we have the hardest job and the most crucial job, commentary.
Do we?
Not really. But it's nice. It's nice to do this for Guilty Gear Strive because it's such a meetup game. So we have people who have been longtime gearheads, and then other people, like basically me and Tubbo, I guess, who have mostly been other stuff in the past. And now we're playing Guilty Gear. Now we're interested in Guilty Gear. Now we're playing Strive, and that's the case for obviously a lot of the FGC right now. So it's cool to have this game as kind of a meetup for people, not just players, but also commentators from different scenes.
Yeah, I mean, just one quick update. Of the 16 players that we had listed, of course we knew this was going to happen. Stuff was going to, real life or gigs or whatever.
Things happen, yeah.
But unfortunately, St. Cola will no longer be able to participate, and we have enlisted a replacement commentator, and that is Ryudo from Ryudo to join the event.
Yeah,
let's just remind people of who we have, and then we'll talk about each of the players. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's
sure,
just do
that works.
All right, cool. So
that works.
We have Hell Pockets, Ryan Hunter, Romanova, Sajam, Proxy, Ski Sonic, Ebonic Plague, Saki Sakura, Callisto, Jadelin, Klaige, Raph, Sharpie, Meta Abe, Spooky, and Ryudo. That's the list.
Pretty good list.
Again, it is.
What happened to my
you're
face?
Exploding about it.
Whoa!
It's made blood pour out your eyeball. That's how good it is.
I'm bursting with enjoyment and psyche.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeez.
So that's list. And as you can see, I mean, that is people from a bunch of different scenes. Those are people who, again, some of them have played Gear or anime games, yada yada, but also NRS, also Street Fighter, also Caliber, also King of Fighters, like whatever kind of series you can think of.
It's a fighting game. They're from a fighting game.
Yeah, totally.
Pick one.
Totally. Very cool.
Why do we not have the? I'm looking at our Matcherino over here, and we don't have the players in the bracket.
The bracket is not filled out. That is not the right bracket.
Okay, where should I go?
I can get you the right one. We were talking about that pre-show, and then we got cut off. Yeah, we're using a challenge bracket, and the match arena will be filled in later.
Yeah, Arcade Robot just basically said he's got personal situations to take care of, so family stuff, or real life, something or other. But it's what's gonna happen. So
there
you go, cool. James. I'll put it in the chat.
Everybody's just hanging out, right? There's nothing.
Everyone else can look at it as well.
Oh, you just built it on challenge. Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna run the bracket on challenge, and then we'll have to go back to match arena later.
For sure.
But that'll be our link for the tournament on Friday as well. That is the final bracket, which everybody can go take a look at now. By the way, that's there for you.
Well, we'll put it up on stream, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's what
I threw it in the chat for James.
I'm trying to do that right now, but all these bracket sites are always really kind of unwieldy, unfortunately. Still don't have a perfect bracket site here. All right, let's do this.
David's face.
There we go.
There it is. We did it.
It's a bracket. You'll have to trust us.
Yep.
Can you zoom in? There we go.
There we go. So I'm just going to have to scroll through this. See, I wish there was a way that I could get rid of the majority of this on the top, but I can't.
You can definitely just drag it through because it's in a window, and that's how
what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Do you not see me dragging here?
I mean on the stream on OBS.
On OBS. No, it's dude. If once I do that, then I lose my display capture and stuff. So,
Ryan Hunter versus Hell Pockets is going to be the start, right up there on the top.
Yes.
Ryan Hunter, look, one of the guys I mentioned who has big time experience when it comes to Guilty Gear in the past, having done literally EVO Grand Finals commentary.
Yep. He is quite knowledgeable for the game. Obviously, this is a little bit seeded. I want to kind of talk about that real quick.
Yes, please.
David, James, and I seeded number 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the bracket that you'll see. Anybody else was randomized. So all the other matchups are randomized, besides the one at the very bottom.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You'll see Proxy and Sharpie. Proxy came on the show and called out Sharpie. Sharpie stood up to the challenge, so we gave them what they want. Proxy is going to play Sharpie right away first round. The grappler versus the anti-grappler.
Yeah, I love that.
The bracket is completely randomized, and there's only the top 4 seeds.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's go back up at the top because I was talking about Ryan Hunter having done Grand Finals at EVO. Well, do you know who he commentated that with? I don't know if you guys have seen the very famous clip. I love that it worked out like this. Ryan Hunter versus Hell Pockets, who of course was also on commentary before that, are going to be playing each other right at the start. So.
Yeah, the Woshige.
Yeah, exactly. The Woshige moment.
Funny. Nice.
That's how things worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Happy to see that. Ryan, look, he comes into this as one of the seeded players for sure. He's really strong. Hell Pockets has made top 8s and stuff in the past, but I got to say it's Ryan Hunter probably looking pretty good. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, look, for me, my picks, logically speaking, were Ryan and Sajam. Right. And so, you look at Sajam at number 2 seed over there. So that's where we have them as 1 and 2. So I figured that they two were probably, and, they've had a little history online between themselves too. So let's see if they can actually get all the way to winners finals to go up against each other. That'll take a little work, but should be a lot of fun. So
for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ryan's going to mop up Hell Pockets. Sorry, Chris.
Dang.
Sorry, Chris. It's going to be a quick 3-0.
Oh, no.
We're starting the tournament off with a bang.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And keep in mind that, we'll be mostly streaming. I don't think we'll be able to stream the entire round of this. Well, actually, we'll probably try to stream the entire winner's
I think we want to stream the entire first round, and then we'll scoot through later.
And then the losers bracket will probably not be able to stream. Otherwise, this will be a 9-hour tournament. So
yeah. We're not streaming every match.
Yeah. But
everybody is going to be streaming. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if they want to. They're not obligated to. But if they want to, they can stream as well.
Or else.
You got the second match there, which is Saki Sakura versus Callisto. So Saki Sakura is primarily, at least historically, a big NRS fan. She's done a lot of stuff in MK over the last year or two. And that's been really cool. I really like her in that. But she's also been doing gear. And she was at, oh boy, was the Summer Jam, the Big E event that happened recently?
Yes. She killed it on commentary.
That. Dude, honestly, I thought she did
She
super
killed
well.
it.
She really did.
That was great.
That was awesome. So she's playing gear. And then Callisto as well. Callisto is somebody who's been streaming forever and has been running not just locals up in Chicago, but also does streams with 10-0, with other folks. He's like one of the big pros, I would say, when it comes to streaming. He also commentates a lot because a lot of the time he is the guy who's there and like nobody's there with him.
Dude,
so
I mean,
a lot of practice commentating.
I always say being a streamer of an event is essentially the same thing as running a hotel. I always use this example because if you run a hotel, one of the things you have to learn is how to cook. Because you can't have your cook be able to be like, well, I'm going to leave, and you'd leave you with nothing. And so your hotel is screwed, so you have to be able to cook. I feel like that's the same thing if you run a stream. You have to know how to commentate.
Yeah, right.
Because a lot of the times, you might not have any commentators there helping you out, you know? I mean, granted, if you are a streamer, I'm sure you're paying these commentators like just gobs of money. But sometimes it's still hard to find these people to actually fill those roles, you know?
And paid on time, of course.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Anyway, that's going to be a fun match between those two. I really have no idea who's going to win between them.
I like my boy Callisto, Chicago reppin'.
I think Saki Sakura is going to body Callisto. That's what I say.
Wow.
Let's go. All right.
Nope. Callisto all day.
All right. Let's talk about the next one. Also, we got to be faster because we got about 10 minutes that we budgeted for this. Klaige versus Ski Sonic is coming up next. So these two guys have been around for a long, long time. These are, a couple decades each, folks in the FGC. And as we had Ski Sonic on the show last week, we have Klaige on this week. It just happened to work out like this. And Ski said last time, he's done however many different games, commentating and playing, and he's playing this game a lot. We talked about the game with him, and Klaige we'll talk with tonight and get into more detail, I'm sure. But he has a long history in Guilty Gear and still is playing on G and looking really strong. He's one of the seeded players here.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, clearly the main thing that might be holding him back is, people don't consider Anji one of the strongest, but somehow I think Klaige is going to overcome that. So,
I mean, here's the thing that works in his favor. People don't think Anji is the strongest. Nobody's out there labbing against Anji, right? And also, he's a rare character. I think both of those things are going to give him an advantage over Ski.
Okay, all right. Then coming up next, we got Jadelin versus Ryudo. So Ryudo was the replacement for Sankola.
Correct.
That just happened, unfortunately. Can you talk about Ryudo a little bit?
Yeah, Ryudo's a homie. Super positive guy. He streams consistently, and he's been going hard on Guilty Gear Strive commentary. I got to do TNS one week with him. So that was fun. He's a real good dude, and he plays Faust. So I'm excited to see a Faust. Also, I think that everybody in the bracket plays a different character, by the way. Just to mention that. I think that's true. No, I take it back. Klaige and Spooky both play Anji. Okay. But I don't know if there's any other repeats.
Dude, that's incredible.
That would actually be not intentionally done and amazing.
Yeah.
But that
depends on who Sajam plays.
Right,
we can
that's
talk
the
about
question.
That in a bit.
Yeah. So
okay.
I mean,
we'll talk about that in a bit. Jadelin is the opponent for Ryudo. She's been doing a lot of BB Tag commentary. She's super into that game. She's been doing that for how long? That game's a couple of years old now at this point, so she's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, so that's super cool. Very glad that she could join us too. And I see her in the chat. So what's up?
Dude, I'm just going to say that I'm going to go with Jadelin on this one because I've seen her in real life carrying, I think it was Ruby's weapon, and that thing is really, really scary. And I think that...
The scythe?
Yeah, the scythe. So I think... I think she's got this over Ryudo, so...
All right. It's good as a reason as any. All right, cool.
I'm cheering for Ryudo just because I want to see Faust. I want to see Faust go deep in the bracket.
That would be sick, no doubt. All right, let's talk about the next one. Sajam versus Raf. So yeah, Sajam is another one of the top 2 seeded players that we have. And he is looking really strong. I mean, I'm sure everybody in here has watched him on his stream, and he kills it, dude. I mean, and he's been a strong player in a lot of games in the past. Like, he's a guy who, back in early KI was making top 8s. Back at like kind of mid Injustice was making top 8s. He could be a player who would like make top 8s and stuff.
Yeah,
if that was what he wanted to do. He would rather commentate. So he's not entering tournaments, but like he definitely is the skilled enough player to do that.
Yeah, I've always said, one of the things that was kind of a shame about him going into commentary is honestly, he could have been one of the top players, on the planet, I think. But
definitely talented.
As a result, he's one of the top commentators on the planet. So,
For sure.
But, the question is, which role is more important, though?
Ooh.
That's the question right there.
Steve? Yeah, Nightwing's going to show up. All of a sudden, he'll play Nightwing today.
Yeah,
he plays Soul, but he also plays Gold Lewis. And Tubbo, you think he's going to play Gold Lewis?
Yeah, I do. Hey, James, could you change it back to the view so we can see the bracket? Me and David.
Oh, for you guys. Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
Sorry, that's
thanks.
my bad.
So I do actually. I think Sajam is going to play Gold Lewis a majority of this tournament until he runs into Ryan Hunter, and then there's no way in hell he's picking Gold Lewis against Axel. There's no way he would do that.
Dude, I actually want to.
I think he's going to play Gold Lewis. However, I did get some new intel on Sajam today.
Okay.
Being the Sajam fan that I am, I always tune in at 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific time, okay? I always tune in to Sajam stream. And he was talking about Commentator Cup today. And he was like, guys, let me tell you, I gotta stream, and then I have to take a break, and then I have to run out and do some errands that I have to do that day. Then I have to come back, and I'm gonna stream Commentator Cup. I'm gonna be so tired. So now Sajam is he gonna be too fatigued to perform well at Commentator Cup?
I think the hardest thing is that apparently Sajam sounds a little like Chris Seglia these days.
Yeah, what an impression.
That's my Sajam impression.
Nice All right, so
we're gonna have to.
Sajam going up against Raf. Raf, we also had on the program, I don't know, a couple months ago at this point, maybe. And he's been somebody who's been into gears. He told us like basically since XX, or maybe it was X even?
Since ever.
Or maybe it was just original gear. Yeah, since forever. So he's got a long history in the series. He's still playing it a lot. He's been commentating it a lot. I know we got Sajam at number 2. All right, like I think we're expecting.
Right.
Yeah.
To be honest, like Raf's a great guy. Probably looking for Sajam to move on in first round.
But here's the thing though. Raf is taking this very seriously. Raf has been tweeting saying, I'm not streaming this week because I'm training for Commentator Cup.
Oh, let's go.
Like, he is taking it very seriously. And I'm not sure how serious Sajam is taking it. Obviously he's going to come and try, right? But I don't think he's like studying matchups like that he's going to run into for Commentator Cup. At least I don't imagine he is. But Raf seems to be taking it serious. And that's a threat. That's a threat to the number 2 seed.
He's a long-time Guilty Gear player, dude. Raf is really, really good. So
that's what I'm saying. It could be a challenge for Sajam.
All right.
We got Spooky in the next one versus Romanova. Y'all know Spooky. He, like I was talking about with Callisto earlier, he's been streaming for forever, and that also means that he has to have been commentating forever since the very beginning. He's somebody who's had success in the games in the past. It made 9th place at EVO, if I recall correctly. That was like a dozen years ago, so correct me if that's wrong, but I believe he got 9th place. And he has been a good player, for sure. He's been playing a lot of gear. He is playing Anji, and then you got Romanova, who has had quite a path in the FGC, a bunch of different games at this point, having come in on NRS games, but now having commentated, I don't know,
Dragon Ball,
a few others, yeah, for sure, most particularly Dragon Ball. I guess that's true. She's been playing a lot of Strive though since it came out, as again basically all of us have.
Yep.
Yeah. It's almost like the game is fun. It's weird.
It's a fun game.
Yeah, look, Spooky, I think, he's just got a lot of that hidden talent. As you said, like, he's always been one of the best at, like, Melty Blood and everything like that. So, I'm going to give this one to Spooky, but we'll see what happens here. I don't want to sleep on a Romanova here. I think she's got a pretty good chance as well.
Ebonic Plague versus Meta Abe. So, Ebonic Plague is our last seeded player. He's in the top 4.
Yes. Yeah.
And very worthwhile. Okay, so like other people here, he's commentated a ton of different games. I don't know that you could easily like put him into one. In fact, I actually counted this up because we had him on the show, and I counted up all the games I'd seen him commentate in the last 2 years, and it was like 10 or something, like just within the last couple of years. So he's been absolutely everywhere commentating, but he also keeps playing, and he has been winning stuff, and he's been getting into top 8.
Yeah, he's been bodying fools.
Dude, he's super legit.
Yeah, he's beaten Reynolds in tournament, etc. Man, he's putting in work. He's a legitimate threat to this tournament.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing about it is when you read his Twitter and how he talks about what he's doing, he sounds more like a player than a commentator right now, because he's like, I'm trying this out and I'm doing this, and I'm practicing this, and I've been trying really hard. And dude, I mean, yeah, he's gonna be kind of scary in this.
100%. Meta Abe has been commentating for a long time too. You might know him best for King of Fighters, but he's done a bunch of other stuff as well. And he's been playing Guilty Gear for a long time, so it's not his first Guilty Gear either. And he's had success. He's had good placings in tournaments in the past. And in this game, I know that he has been playing it a bunch. I feel like this...
Hey, hold on a second, guys.
What's happening?
I don't know. Well, we'll let him do what he's got to do. As far as this matchup goes, Plague, again, is one of our seeded players, but I do feel like there's a chance. I just haven't seen Abe play this game enough, but like I know he has talent, and it wouldn't be as big a surprise to me if he showed up big time.
All right, hang on a second. I am going to give us just a couple of more minutes here. There we go.
All right, cool. And then to round it out, we got Proxy versus Sharpie. This is the match that they wanted to play. So, all right, we rigged the bracket. That's right. We're
allowed to do that, okay?
Yeah, man, that's fine. Proxy versus Sharpie.
We have the ability to make Sonya go up against Kano at the very beginning just to get that taken care of, right?
Bro, somebody came to my door banging on it trying to give me some shit to vote. Like, listen, man. I already know who I'm voting for. Leave me alone.
Well,
golly, at 8 o'clock at night.
All right, we're talking about Proxy. Talk about Proxy for us.
Proxy is dope. Proxy plays Potemkin. Proxy is like really came up as as a commentator recently with TNS. I mean, he goes hard on Marvel 3 commentary, which is obviously his favorite game, but also Strive. Like, I mean, he's there every week, putting in work, and I think he's really coming into his own as a commentator. However, I don't know how his Potemkin looks, so he might be in trouble with Sharpie.
We'll talk about Sharpie.
Honestly, I've never seen her play Strive, but she is a Skullgirls player, so therefore, she's gonna have a good mix. She's gonna have solid pressure. Potemkin doesn't have a lot of good wake-up options, so if he gets knocked down and schmixed, it might be curtains.
Now, here's my question here. I want to take a look at this. For a pick, for a pick between these two, I don't want to pick. I just want to see carnage.
Yeah, I just want to see blood.
Yeah,
I just want to see blood.
But let's go through here really quick. Who does Ryan Hunter play?
Axel.
Hell Pockets. Do we know?
No idea. I think Geo though. I would assume Geo. That's the most KOF character in the game.
I thought he played Kai, but I could be wrong about that.
What about
he might be.
Saki Sakura?
No clue.
Callisto?
He plays Kai, right?
Yeah, I thought Chris had played Kai in the past. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, no. Callisto plays Kai for sure. Klaige plays Anji. Ski plays. He plays Geo. Right?
He plays Geo. He plays Gold Lewis. Those are the two he plays the most.
Do we know who Jadelyn plays?
All right, Jadelyn, you're in the chat. What do you got? What are you bringing to us? And do you know who Ryudo plays?
Faust.
Okay, Faust,
so
and
it's-
she plays Kai.
She plays Kai. Sajam.
So many Kais are in this bracket. I was so wrong about not repeat characters.
Soul or Gold Lewis.
Gold Lewis,
Who
yep.
does Raph play?
No
Historically,
idea.
Axel. I don't know if he's playing Axel in this game though.
Okay. Spooky plays Anji, you
Anji.
said. Raph plays Axel,
Anji, yeah.
according to Klaige.
There you go.
Romanova plays Milia. Ebonic Plague. Who does Ebonic Plague use?
Soul.
Soul.
Soul. Ugh, dirty Soul. Meta Abe.
Abe, I haven't seen play.
Okay.
Me either.
And Proxy's a Potemkin. And who does Sharpie use?
I want to say Geo, but I keep saying Geo, so now I feel like
Yeah,
it can't be
everybody's
Geo.
playing Geo according to Tubble.
Yeah, everybody plays Geo. Everyone's a Geo player.
All right, so we're about to finish this topic. Who do you like? Who do you like for the whole thing?
That's a hard question.
Who
man.
do you like for the whole thing?
That's a hard question, man.
I am going with Ebonic Plague. Let's go Ebonic
let's
Plague. Let's
go,
go
okay.
Isaiah. Let's go Isaiah.
Okay.
That's my choice right now.
Knowing the characters that were just named, I like Ryan Hunter now. Previously, I like Sajam. I like Ryan Hunter now.
Interesting.
Dang, dude. I was going to say Ryan Hunter. Man, all right, fine. I'm just going to stick to my guns. I like Ryan Hunter. There you go. There you go.
Wow, no Sajam fans in here.
I
That's
actually
terrible.
can't believe. I thought you were going to say Sajam for sure. That's why I felt comfortable in.
No, man.
saying Ryan Hunter.
I think because of the matchups now in the bracket.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking
Axel
Ryan Hunter.
makes sense.
That's the whole reason I was thinking about it.
Someone
Well, there we
says
go.
that Sharpie used to use May, so it could be a May player. But
Oh, okay.
man,
Thanks,
we
Maximus.
should have discussed this ahead of time to make sure we all pick different people, right? I mean, that's the way. No, I was kidding. No, this is the way it really works. So okay,
This is real life. All right, there you go.
Hey,
So
no
again,
one picks Satan.
That's
Okay,
it?
well, you know what the thing about it is? I think all of us didn't want to go for like one of like the like. Let's just go with the Sajam obvious pick, right? So
I think it's Ryan. But okay, who's your underdog? Who's your? You're not looking for him, but who's gonna do well anyway?
Mine is going to be Ryudo.
Who makes a deep run? Okay.
If Saint Cola was still in there, it probably would have been Spooky. But now with Ryudo in there, I think it's going to be Ryudo.
I'm gonna say even if he goes to losers first round, I think Raph has the chance to make a deep run.
Okay.
Okay. I say Ski Sonic.
Ooh, okay.
You're just
And
picking
that's-
your friends.
I might be picking my friend. I don't know. They may all be friends of mine. You don't know. You don't know who I'm friends with, Tupperware. I'm trying not to pick the ranked players in there. So I mean, obviously, I think that the top 4 are going to make runs. Like that's why we put them in those positions.
Right, yeah,
But-
obviously.
All right, cool. Let's
Pretty
move
sure.
on.
Yeah, pretty sure most of these guys are friends, except for Hell Pockets, because that guy, when you commentate after him and put on his headphones, I mean, that's just not cool. It's just
You're
not
drenched.
cool.
Let me tell you, if you see that he's commentating and then you and your co-commentator are coming around to fill the positions of the 2 people who were just commentating, you walk to the side of the table that the other person was on. You do not walk to the Hell Pockets.
Bro, sometimes they don't give you a choice. Sometimes the production is like, hey, you sit there.
That's true.
And you're like, that's the Hell Pocket seat. How dare you?
All
I'll
right,
never
let's,
forgive you, Seglia.
Let's move on here.
All
All right, cool. Welcome back to Orgrimmar. So let's move on to the next one.
Thought it was
All
the
right.
Goblin Slums.
It's the Goblin Slums in
There you go,
Orgrimmar.
but that's gonna be this
there's
Friday.
a Goblin diaspora. You know the
All right,
goblins.
all right,
you know,
yeah,
you know,
whatever,
you know what
man.
Blizzard's deal is.
But again,
Yeah,
the commentator cup is going to be
Sadly.
this Friday. You guys want to
Yes.
check that out? It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time
Yeah,
there.
please come
so-
by.
we
we
have
also, I just want to say real quick, we are going to, there's a Matcherino, obviously,
Yep.
that'll be live and is live now, but it'll be live during the tournament. But also, we're going to give 50% of our subs to the pot for Commentator Cup. So anybody who subs during Commentator Cup, which does fall under September, we're going to give 50% of that back to the players.
Correct.
Nice. Got it.
That's matcherino.com/t/commentator cup strive if you want to go
See,
check it
I think
out.
you made a bad URL, David, because it should have been Commentator Cup Strive 001. That's
I actually asked if we can reuse this, James.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause
did
I
you?
thought about the same thing. Yeah.
And did they say yes?
No.
No. Okay.
But it was too late.
Then where's the 001, David? Okay.
The next one
anyway.
will just be 2. That's
It was
fine.
too late. All right.
It'll be all right.
Move on. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. right. Anyways, let me reset the timer here because we were not talking about
Thanks, investigation
ArcRevo.
code.
Here you go.
Yeah, you can also do !Matcherino in the chat, and you'll find out exactly what we got.
Sweet.
All right, again, let's move on to the next one.
Did
And
it work? I don't think it did. I don't think that !Matcherino worked. So I don't think you have that set up, David.
Yeah, investigation can put that in.
oh, he put that in.
it's not a bot.
Okay, I'll set that up during the middle of the
Yeah.
break. I thought I had set that up. ArcRevo 2021. If we can move on to this one here. All right, guys. There was an announcement trailer, and there's some info. So ArcRevo, of course, run by ArcSys. It's the pro tour for their games. In the past, they've had, all their games. Grand Blue, BB Tag, Rev 2, BBCF, Undernight, like that has been in the past. This year, it's only Strive. It's only Strive this year. And they're doing it for 3 regions: North America, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, which is EMEA, people call it, and Japan and Korea.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 regions. As far as the timing of this thing, in North America, that's where we have the most info. It starts December 11th. The finals are in March. There are 5 qualifiers for USA, West, Central, and East, and for Mexico and for Canada. There's 5 in total. And there's a $30,000 prize pool. We don't have that much info for the other regions. We know that EMEA starts in October and the finals are in February. Mm-hmm. Japan and Korea just says February 2022. Like, we don't have any more info than that at the time.
Sure.
So, that's all we got for now. All the qualifying rounds will be online. There is a chance that the regional finals will be offline. They basically say, they explicitly say it depends on COVID. You guys know the world we live in.
Right, yeah, of course.
Hopefully by that time, at least in some regions, it will be doable, but we'll just have to wait and see how it turns out.
Deal.
Exactly. Anyway, there's the news. What do you guys think?
I think that there's like the East Coast, the West Coast, and the Midwest tournaments. Maybe like the Southwest as well in America.
It's
I think
USA West, USA Central, and USA East.
That's my favorite thing. Is the Midwest finally has their own sections now. For so long, they were either lumping us West Coast or East Coast, and no matter what, we had bad connections. Not that that would probably be a problem with Strive, but just in general, thank you for recognizing the Midwest is actually a thing.
I mean, it's happening because, you're finally getting some decent players, right? I mean, so we can.
Does someone from California really want to talk about that right
Yeah,
now?
I know, right?
Ooh, it's
Callie
a downtime.
Callie can't talk right now,
downtime,
dude.
yeah.
Callie can't talk right now, unfortunately. So we gotta hold that currently.
But in my view, as far as the regions go, I was surprised to see that they were split up in that way. USA West, USA Central, USA East, Mexico, Canada. We could play. Like, I've played with people in Montreal on the complete opposite side of North America, completely fine. So I'm surprised, to be honest, that they have split it up that much.
Yeah, but I mean,
that was
I don't
surprised to me.
I don't think it's a netcode thing. I think it's just I just think it's a region representation thing. I think they just want to.
That's what I think.
Because also the other thing too. I mean, look, I joke about it, but Midwest has always been like a hotbed for Guilty Gear, right? I mean, you've got
Chicago
some of the best.
particular.
Yeah, you've got some of the best players coming from. I mean, Elven Shadow's from there, right? Black Snake is from there, and there's just been so
St. Louis,
many.
Texas.
There's been so many amazing players. Yeah, Texas as well. Being in that region, Texas has always been a hotbed for Guilty Gear. So I think it's just right to have that division, in my opinion. So.
Totally. Okay.
Couldn't
fair
agree
enough.
more.
But as far as the other regions go, I'm surprised that it's like Japan and Korea and not East Asia, or that there's like not like an Asia and then there's within it. Okay, like maybe one of the small regions is Japan and Korea.
Sure.
Another one could be Southeast Asia or whatever. Right? There's a big region there with a lot of people, a lot of players. So that is a bit surprising to me. And I think it's great that Europe, Middle East, Africa is there, but I'm also surprised that more of Latin America is not there, because there's definitely a ton of Guilty Gear players in South America. Mexico's in this, which is, by the way, cool to see that they're in North America, which is geographically accurate. But as far as the rest of LATAM, like, they're not. And that is, I don't know, that's a disappointment to me.
Well, I mean, as you said, the Japan and Korea stuff isn't fully announced yet. So maybe they're splitting that up some way, or maybe they're planning to add to that. Who knows?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope so as well.
All right.
Either way, good job splitting up North America. Appreciate that much.
All right. Anything else to say on this one?
I'm gonna participate.
Let's go.
Cool. Okay. All right.
I'll try.
Right. You're
I'll
gonna
do my
your own
best.
commentator cup. There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one then.
All right. Ooh, yes.
Free Marvel
Ooh,
vs.
yes.
Capcom 2. The hashtag has been going around. Everybody's seen it. Hashtag free MVC2. We haven't talked about this on the show yet, but it's something that has been kind of like going on for a little while at this point. Tubware, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. So this basically started with Max being himself. He did this with Killer Instinct a few years ago now, trying to revive KI. And so Max took notice to all the people trying to find ways to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the year 2021. And it's difficult. It's hard. You basically have to emulate the game. I mean, now there's emulators that'll let you play in rollback and things like that. You know, things are advancing, but still, you shouldn't have to go through all that just to play the damn game. So he made a video saying free MVC2. Why can't we download this on modern consoles? Like, they're all backwards compatible. Let us play it, you know? And that turned into articles, and that turned into tweets, and of course, you know, went viral and normal Maximilian stuff.
Yeah.
But now there's news outlets saying that the head of Digital Eclipse has been in talks with Disney to make this actually happen. So there's actual traction possibly behind it. Obviously, we don't know what talks or discussions or whatever. We don't know what that actually means, but it didn't sound negative is the thing I'm taking from it.
I don't think it sounds negative. Yeah. I would just maybe slightly phrase it differently. Rather than the studio head for Digital Eclipse talking with Disney, it sounds like he's been talking with some people who work at Disney and Capcom. Right. So just a maybe small semantics difference, but in my mind, talking with Disney is like more of a corporate higher level discussion. And the other one's like, hey friend who works over there, like, what do you think about this? Well,
DMs, you know.
I think it's more than that.
DMs, you know.
But anyway, nothing official as far as we're aware. And in that interview that Digital Eclipse Studio head Mike Mika had with Shack News, he said, among other things, that you know he knows that people in Disney and Capcom have seen the campaign to get Marvel 2 back into things. He knows that there are people inside those companies who want that to happen. He also says that there might need to be a lot of legal research to make it viable, because there's a lot of maybe licensing problems, and that itself actually might be as much as the budget of the game.
David.
Well,
I happen to know a lawyer. Do you think maybe he could look into that legal stuff? I don't know. Do you know him? I think you might know him.
I could totally look into it. Yeah, of course. I am a gaming lawyer. You're very right. And if you want to give me the equivalent of a video game budget to do that, I would love it.
At no cost to myself.
At no cost to myself, yes.
My thought process right now is MVC2 coming back would be perfect promotional material with all of the speculations and rumors that Shuma Gorath might show up in the new Doctor Strange movie. We could have Shuma Gorath come back with Waste of Flesh. Like, I really want Shuma Gorath to show up in the movie, cross his arms, and go, Waste of Flesh. Like, that would just be the coolest thing. But, I mean, it's perfect time for that cross-promotion. Like, you know, when they threw Rocket Raccoon into MVC3 before we really knew anything about him, right? So this is, like, perfect, I think. This is the perfect opportunity.
I mean, dude, on the other hand, if you think about the roster of Marvel 2 and the characters that are actually popular in the MCU, there's like very little crossover. Very little crossover. Yeah. Who's that character? Who's this silver guy?
I mean,
like,
X-Men are coming.
Who? Like, there's just all these
X-Men are
characters
coming to the MCU, though, guys. This is not a secret. It's officially announced.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four's been announced. Not that any of those characters are Marvel 2, but just saying, the Fox entities that used to be are coming. So why now put out this game with all these old X-Men in it for $19.99 on Steam, and then all of a sudden,
how come Thanos just has bubbles?
I don't
What's
know.
that
I don't
about?
know what that about
Why
at
does
all.
he
I
throw
don't-
bubbles?
No one knows what that's
He
about.
doesn't snap at all.
Didn't you
Capcom.
see? Didn't you see? He turned Star-Lord's gun to shoot bubbles. Remember?
I really
That's
hope
the
that
tie-in.
was a reference. I really
That
hope.
is
When I
the
saw that at
tie-in
first, I was
right
like, "That's
there.
Marvel too." I always hoped that was a reference.
I had not even thought about it.
But
Anyway,
also,
look.
that sounds like a normal Thanos thing. He's not just throwing bubbles at people.
I never understood it.
Dash
Whatever.
roundhouse bubble. Dash roundhouse bubble. Dash roundhouse bubble. Dash roundhouse bubble. And he's still a useless character, baby.
Not great.
Oh,
Look,
man.
it would be great. I mean, I think we're all on board with the idea of Marvel 2 being re-released. That would be super great. On the other hand, I mean, look, just right as a blanket statement, awesome. Let's make it happen, right? Like we'll all be really happy about that. It also, I would be not sure that it would make a ton of money. Okay, to be honest, like there are people who are our age, Maximilian's age, who played the game and have nostalgia for it, and then there are some people who play competitively, and I don't think either of those is a long list. To be honest,
Dude, you should just like make it come with a bunch of coupons for like Denny's or something for all the old people.
for the old people, yeah.
You know, I think that would
Senior
work.
citizens discount.
Yeah, so you already get a senior citizen discount. That doesn't stack, all right, man. Calm down, man.
So I don't know if I imagine that it would make anybody a lot of money. It could make enough money to make, whoever does the porting, like be able to pay for that. Like that seems plausible to me, but I wouldn't expect it to sell a ton.
They would get paid up
up
front by,
But, I mean,
by Capcom.
Of course.
Here's the question though. I mean, there was a group that tweeted at Digital Eclipse showing that they were making 3D models using the Guilty Gear style based off of MVC2, and they were like, we can help with the graphics. People have talked about, is there a chance for, balance changes, etc.,
No.
etc. Look,
If this game comes out again, it's just going to be a port. That's it.
yeah.
And that's what it should be. It should be the same. It shouldn't
Yeah,
be different.
I
Get
mean,
the good netcode.
honestly, the way that I would like maybe put in Justin's ratio mode just as a side mode just for fun, right? I think that would be cool as a side mode. But if there is a rebalance, the way that you would rebalance the game again is that you wouldn't touch any of the top characters. Leave them as broken as possible. Throw in maybe make some changes to the old characters, but always leave the original version playable and accessible. Because a lot of people will balk when Felicia becomes all of a sudden like the strongest character because they accidentally discover she has some stupid like Sand Splash Infinite, and like...
They did that for HDR, and I don't feel like HDR was a huge success, was it? Like, I don't think that matters.
If the person on HDR actually listened to people who wanted to make the change.
but what he's
No,
saying
but the
is that-
original game is on there. You can play ST on HDR
The original graphics
with the
are
original
not,
sprites. Yes, they are.
not the
That
background.
whole game.
Not
Oh,
the
maybe not the background,
background.
not the background,
And the
that's fair.
sprites look kind of janky when you bring them back on
So
that
what though? It's
background.
the same game. It just has an updated look. It's the same balance. The same things happen. Like that didn't matter for the sales for that game. I don't think.
Yeah. Well,
I think just port it, do it as cheap as possible, so you can make a profit, and then go, maybe people want Marvel vs. Capcom, and then you announce Marvel vs. Capcom 4, and I can die happy.
And then another thing, USF2, someone bringing up in the chat, was a different situation. They put some intelligent balance changes into there, and then they put in Evil Ken and Evil Ryu with
Sure
like,
you can. Sure you
infinites
can.
and like
Sure you can.
90% combos and
Yeah.
stuff. And it was like, who were
And they're
you?
playable in ranked mode.
Who were you making this market for? Like, who was the target for this? You made intelligent balance changes to control schemes and stuff, so Zangief won't walk up and green hand by accident. You threw in this new tech system so people could tech holds and stuff, and then you broke the game by adding these two. Like, so it wasn't made for the pros, and it wasn't made for the casual. Like, what? Who? Dude.
It was
don't
made
know.
for anybody who wanted
So
to play
mad,
Evil
dude.
Ken.
I bought it. I can tell you that much, but I only played it a couple of times.
Dude, I think I bought it when I was like on the road somewhere, and I downloaded it on my. It might have even been in Japan or something like that, and I downloaded it. I was all excited. I couldn't do anything on the Joy-Cons, and then I noticed Evil Ken and Evil Ryu were stupid, and that was the end of it. I've never touched it
GG.
since.
Look, I hope that Marvel 2 comes back. That would be great. Speaking of lawyers, I've heard that there's a free way to play that game on the internet with rollback netcode. I heard that's available. So if you really want to play that game,
you sure can.
I mean,
you can play it.
Do you think that would fly? Cast some, some doubts on that or something like that, right?
Oh, legally? Yeah, legally, everybody who does that will go to jail for at least 5 years.
Forever.
Sorry, everybody. Yep, you're gonna go to jail. That's the law. I'm telling you, as far as you know, that's true. You don't know. You don't know the law. You know that I know the law. You
don't know the law.
I hope people on the internet actually caught what I just did there. So, I mean...
You don't know.
All right. Well, moving on. We got to get Klaige on here.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we will get Klaige, one of our top 4 seeded players for Commentator Cup. Let's listen to the amount of trash that he will talk, because I've known Klaige, and he is always one of the biggest trash... No, actually, he's not.
Okay.
So, but we'll be right back, guys.
It doesn't sound like him, but okay.
We'll be right back, guys. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Tuesday show. We have our guest here for today, and that is going to be Mr. Klaige, who is participating in the Commentator Cup this weekend. Welcome, Klaige, to the Tuesday show. How are you doing?
Good to see you all. Haven't seen the fighting game homies much for the last couple of years, so it's good to at least see faces, something that's reminiscent of events. So yeah, it's good to be here. How y'all doing?
Doing well, man. Thanks a lot for coming on to the show, and thanks for being part of Commentator Cup as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I always think it's nice when we start having a guest, first bring them on, to just ask them about their background. So how did you get into the FGC? How did you get into fighting games, maybe? And then how did you get into the more competitive side of fighting games?
Yeah. As James and a couple of you guys already mentioned, I'm a dinosaur. I grew up. I was born in the early 80s and grew up a 90s kid. So, arcade Street Fighter 2, I was there when it happened. Just like everyone else, the first time you do a Hadouken, you're just like, oh my God. So, instantly hooked to fighting games. Street Fighter 2 was the first game I asked for my Super Nintendo when I was prepubescent child. And grew up with all my friends. We played, whatever got ported. And even here in, central Iowa, we had arcades for a while. And of course, they died out here a little bit quicker than over on the West Coast and such, but, I loved fighting games from the jump. And once I got into late high school, early college, I was actually working at Software, etc. That's GameStop for you kids.
Software, etc.
And a lot of the people there were fighting, local fighting game. You think you're good at stuff because you've never remotely played anything competitive. And I thought, Akuma, Gambit, and Spider-Man was the greatest MVC2 team of all time. So, but we used to hold gatherings, played a ton of that, a ton of, the PlayStation Alpha 3 port, stuff like that. And ironically, I stumbled into Guilty Gear via... I was writing reviews for games in college, just as a fun side gig. I found from a message board I was writing game reviews, and I bought DMC2. And as most of you know, DMC2 was not exactly the greatest sequel follow-up ever made in history. So I knocked that game out in like 3 days and did my review. And this was back in the day when you could still take a new game back to Software, etc. / GameStop and just be like, yo, I'm done. Give me something different, because they were just like, that's fine. We don't care. It's within a week. And yeah, we all know how that got them in trouble. But it just so happened that the week I had finished that up, one of my buddies who I worked with there had brought up, he was still working at the shop. And we used to always get the demo tapes they used to play for stuff that was upcoming and all that stuff.
For the TVs.
Yep. And the CRT in the corner. Exactly. And this was at a time where, this was like, 2002. The PS2 had kind of got off and running, and the world was all 3D. You weren't seeing sprites anymore. There was no handmade artwork anymore. Polygons were looking pretty, or so we thought. If you go back, look at a PS2 now, you're like, oh my god, I thought this was the future. But there just so happened on one of the demo tapes was this 2D fighting game, Guilty Gear X2, as it was released in the US, and I'm like, oh wow, this looks freaking awesome. And so I'm like, I'm gonna grab that. So I went and picked it up, and we started playing it, and I fell in love with it instantly. It looks,
and you never returned it to software itself.
No, I did not. It is sitting on my shelf in my office right now. That exact copy is still there.
That's so cool.
But it was just like, at that point, I'd never seen fighting game sprites like that. They look low res now, but those were 480p fighting game, PS2 sprites running beautifully.
For sure.
And so I got into the game, and at that point, me and a lot of the guys I worked with were doing like a weekly meetup Friday nights where we just play a bunch of fighting games, a little bit of everything. Nobody was really good or, really competitive. But that was also at the time where the internet was actually kind of bludgeoning out to where you could find stuff if you wanted to research things. And I stumbled onto a little site called SRK and saw a trailer for Evo 2002. And from there, I'm just like, wow, people just play this for like money and stuff. This is rad. And being in Iowa, I had to find the nearest arcade where this happened, which happened to be the Family Fun Center in Omaha, Nebraska. So for my entire first 6, 7, 8 years of playing competitive fighting games, if I wanted to play Guilty Gear, I had to leave the state to play human beings. So I did regularly, and yeah, that just kind of.
How long is that drive?
To Omaha's not too bad. It's about 2 hours.
Not too bad.
Yeah, no,
pretty far, but okay.
I'm from the Midwest. Unless you hit 6 hours, it's like that's fine.
I know. I mean, let's face it. That's what people were doing even just to get to Super Arcade, right? I mean, we drove an hour. We drove practically 2 hours to get there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So went and played at locals in Omaha. Eventually started going to Midwest Championships at Nickel City and Chicago. Going down to St. Louis. I wasn't a big Tekken head, which was the game in St. Louis, but we had really strong Guilty Gear players down there and in Columbia, and just became a fixture in the Midwest, and ended up meeting some of my closest friends to this day from, having around. Ended up going to my first Evo was in fact Evo Moment 34. I was in that room. That was my very first Evo. My very first opponent in my Guilty Gear pool was Daigo. That was my introduction to Evo competition.
Dude,
I got him down to 10% in one round. That was my takeaway from that.
I mean, he was super good at gear at that time.
Oh yeah, he won. Yeah,
he won that.
He won it.
Yeah, he won like the first 2 or 3 years he entered there.
He was good.
Because I mean, we didn't know how to fight Soul. Wild throw into 80% dust loops. Pretty good. That was my first Evo ever, was in that room. I will never forget. One of my buddies from Omaha. Right? Yeah. I tell people, I'm like, the video doesn't do it justice. Like it felt like an earthquake. I'm like, oh, is this what California is actually like? Cool.
I'm so glad you said. I tell people that, like, you had to have known people outside the building could probably hear it. It felt like the room was gonna fall apart. Like that's how crazy it was.
It is one of the most thunderous like crowd noises I've ever heard. And I've been to concerts, huge sporting events and stuff. I don't know that I've ever heard anything quite like that. But I'll never forget. I was standing next to my buddy Simon Yu Young from Omaha, who was pretty blitzed at the time, but he was Omaha was known for Third Strike. That was their game forever. Yeah. Very very talented players there. And I just remember him. I can't remember who he was standing next to, but he nudged him, and he's just like, Justin better put a fireball in front of this super. And then 2 seconds later, just tap, 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 tap. I'm just like, are you a savant? Like, it is like, that's my personal like piece of the Evo 34 moment. But just I'm like, well, guess he should have put a fireball in front of that super. But that's how I ended up in the FGC. That's
so cool.
I stumbled into Guilty Gear because of Devil May Cry 2 being kind of a half-ass sequel, and decided to start driving around. And now I'm around here all the time using my old man voice to teach people about Guilty Gear and all that fun stuff. So,
well, what about fighting games interested you so much? I mean, what aspect of it? Was it strategy? Was it the characters? I mean, what was the draw?
I mean, I've always been kind of a naturally competitive person, but I was definitely not an athletic kid. And so like I love the idea of that. It's like you get to play one-on-one, but it's virtual, it's there, and you get to do these really cool Street Fighter 2, the original, it's like the idea of a combo was like, jump roundhouse sweep, like, but it's like, oh my god, look how much damage that did, just throwing a fireball or anything like that. And so it just clicked with me off the bat. I had played video games since I was 3 years old, and my dad set me down in front of an Atari 5200. And so, getting to do these competitive, fun, 1v1 kind of thing. And like I said, there's just something that you had to experience of going to an arcade in 1991 and seeing 12 Street Fighter 2 cabs all, clustered together. And, I can't even fathom the amount of money those things made, in the heyday. The lines were unreal, so I mean, it just grabs you.
It's funny because, like, you said you lived in that era, and one of the things I always like to talk about is like people who weren't in that era don't know what it was like with Street Fighter 2 and like just how much it took over the world. I mean, you were saying how much money it made. The UCLA arcade, the only time they had to do collections twice a week was because of Street Fighter 2. Otherwise, the cabinets would fill up.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it drew me in, and then once I found the truly competitive side and saw this, like, oh my god, people, like, there's all these aspects of the game I had no idea existed, these high-tech combos and these complex team, for me, the assist button in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was, oh yeah, I accidentally hit that instead of, fierce, like, kind of thing, and then you see your first video of Strider Doom, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? And, it's just like, it's like opening, the Covenant. You're just like, oh my god, this is limitless. You can learn forever. As I quickly found out that there's no end to the learning or the improving in fighting games. And I think that's probably the other thing is, as long as you're still having some enjoyment playing it, you will never get bored or run out of things to do playing fighting games. There is always something to work on.
It's really interesting because I think about that. It's hard to have that experience these days of playing the game, thinking you know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden seeing the best fight, because we have so much easy access to the best fighting game players these days.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, with all that said, you competed for all these years. What drove you to start commentating then? I mean, you sound like you're relatively competitive, and I mean, commentary is competitive, but it's a different type of competitive,
So,
it's not the same
the honest truth of it is, basically, when Frosty Faustings was still a wee lad of a tournament stuffed in a Nickel City, there came a time where it was getting down towards the end, and those tournaments weren't huge, but it was nothing but killers in those old Guilty Gear brackets. The skill level relative to the number of players, there were no slouches anywhere. So going 1-2 or 2-2 meant you might have lost to the, two of the top 8 players along the way. Because there's just not, a 60-man bracket back then is gigantic. So, it was one of those. I think I had an okay run, but not a great run. And it was the first time that I think it was Callisto, but I think it was the first time we'd really attempted streaming Faustings instead of just, recording video and uploading it to YouTube and all that. And he was just like, hey, you want to commentate? I don't have anyone. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. And sat down and, took me 5, 6, 7, 8 games to even go, wow, how do I talk about this in real time? This game's so damn fast. But once it kind of started clicking, I'm like, this is really fun, because I could always talk about Guilty Gear and strategy and all that stuff. I will freely admit I've always been a better teacher and discussion person than I am a player overall. A lot of that had to do with being a region, before rollback netcode existed, where if I wanted to get matchup experience and play games, I had to leave my state. Like, and that's not a trivial thing to do as much as I did it and love the game. And, you know, at that point, when Fausting started streaming regularly, we were 5 years into Accent Core's run at that point, and I was kind of burnt out playing Accent Core. You talked, you know,
right.
you talked about I've been an Anji player since I started playing Guilty Gear, and that is not his best game. Vanilla Accent Core, he's not a terribly strong character, and Accent Core is a pretty grimy game with some pretty grimy characters. And so, you know, I went from my one moment where we had Guilty Gear XX/ that we played for all of 9 months in the States, where he was actually a very good, strong character, and then it was just like, just kidding. And so I was just kind of disillusioned with playing a character that I love, but just I felt underpowered, you know, and that just happens sometimes in games. And commentary, I was like, wow, I don't think I'm terrible at this. And, you know, there was nothing to really gauge back then. You know, if a thing was streamed, it's like, oh, wow, they're actually streaming this? Cool. And so it just kind of became a regular thing I did, is I'd be like, hey, you want me to commentate? And then it was a couple years after that we got the announcement of Plus R and Xrd, and I got my love for Guilty Gear brought back, and I'm like, I'm going to start doing tutorials for people, because, you know, this is the first time Guilty Gear's gotten a modern release. Xrd was, you know, it's like, Guilty Gear was a niche game for a long time, even through Accent Core in its heyday, you know, like tournaments were Capcom tournaments first, and anime games a very distant second.
Just to tell a story to kind of illustrate that. The year that we wanted to run the latest Guilty Gear at EVO that was only out in Japan, basically the EVO staff said we could do it if people donate Japanese PlayStation 2 consoles. And how many did we ask for? 4. We asked for 4 consoles. Yep. And then we were able to run Guilty Gear at EVO.
Ooh, wow.
I remember that. Because Reload never got a proper American release until like way later on the Xbox, of all things. And so I knew it's like, wow, this is Guilty Gear's doesn't have to be the side game anymore. It doesn't have to be this niche thing. It could be something that could, you know, just the look of Xrd when it dropped. I mean, that alone was going to grab people's attention. You know, it's just, you know, that first trailer, you see what look like brand new, incredible sprites, and then the camera rotates, and you're just like, I'm sorry, could you roll that back for me real quick? And so I'm just like, this is going to be a whole new world of Guilty Gear. So many new people are going to try this out, and I wanted to do something because, you know, I jumped into competitive fighting games with the series that a lot of people consider an incredibly difficult series to play, for better or for worse. I feel like a lot of that myth has somewhat been toned down over the years, because there's definitely been some upplay of, oh my God, XX is the hardest game ever. I'm like, no, I've tried to play Marvel. No. But it had that stigma, and I'm like, there needs to be more material out there. And I was already starting to stream on my own because of GDQ and speedrunning. Well, not even GDQ at that point, but speedrunning and just enjoying streaming on my own time. So I started making tutorials for the series and prep for Xrd, and then Xrd came out, and my character was nowhere to be seen in the first version, or the second version, or the third version, or anyway. And with Xrd, I definitely found myself gravitating more to the commentary and the teaching side, just because one, I had a huge character crisis. It was so hard for me to play the game without Anji. I've played almost every character in Xrd over the years. I finally settled on Heihun for the last few years of it, and had a good time. Actually, that's who I played when I went to Japan for the first time and got to go to Mikado for a couple weeks. But I never didn't have that same drive I had with the XX series. I wasn't hell bent on winning and getting out of pools. You know, I wanted to, but I didn't want to enough to invest the time. And the skill level shot up so much with Xrd, just like it has shot up again now with Strive, because there's just so many good players playing the game now. And so with that, you know, streams weren't just a thing that was cool to do at the events. It was, you know, expected. It was necessary, and that was a huge part of any fighting game tournament post X. You know, by the time Xrd was out, everything was streamed. You know, Wednesday Night Fights is going every week. You know, And so for having sat down in the chair just of my own volition for those first 3, 4, 5 years of Faustings when it was smaller at the smaller venues, we weren't even in hotels yet. You know, Elven Shadow was just like, hey, do you want to just keep doing commentary? I'm like, yeah, man, I'll do as much as you want. And so that just kind of became the thing. And
Nice.
once I had the time to start going to other events again, you know, I've gotten to work at Combo Breaker. I've gotten to work at Evo, which is awesome. And
Nice.
and you know, it's great. I love doing it. It's a great time. And like I said, you get to work with so many cool people. That's the fun part. And I think that's the cool part of commentary is the challenge is the first time, even if you know someone well, like, you know, the first time I worked with you, James, at Evo, we never commentated together, but obviously I'd seen you commentate and it's like, okay, you know, but you still have to get that feel going. And I think that's a fun challenge is learning not just how to commentate the game well, but how to work with your co-commentator
Yes.
well.
It's one of the biggest things, yeah.
So, you know, that obviously drove me for a long time and super enjoyed it. And it worked out well because I was spending so much time in speedrunning and then working for GDQ that I didn't really have the time to be a top level player. Like it just wasn't really enough time for it. So, but commentary is something that as long as I kept my knowledge up of the game, which I always do because I'm always watching it, that fit the bill. And so now with Strive, my character's back, so I'm actually trying again, but I'm also teaching and coaching, and you know, obviously there hasn't been a lot of live commentary since Strive came out for reasons, but we'll worry about that down the road.
Now, one of the things, you've hinted at this a little bit, and we've talked about watching the best in the world playing stuff. GDQ obviously is like one of the, it's the celebration of video games and video game talent. How did you get involved in GDQ? Because the one GDQ I went to, I remember seeing you there and we hung out for a little bit and stuff. How did you get involved with GDQ?
It's kind of funny because this is why I've told this story when I'm streaming once in a while. This is why when anybody asks, I tell people that Guilty Gear is the most important game in my life because Guilty Gear led me to meeting people from the speedrun community, specifically Josh the Funk Dog, who was doing a lot of speedrunning, a lot of speedrunning, a lot of tool assisted runs back in the day. And you know, I remembered him from old Midwest crew, but we never really chatted. And he was at a tournament I went to down in Tennessee, and we started chatting about speedrunning because he had started streaming at that point, and I had always kind of, you know, I'd watched runs on Speed Demos Archive back in the day and thought it was really cool. You know, as a kid, I loved doing like time trials and Mario Kart and stuff. So just kind of gravitate towards the natural, you know, like, oh man, how quick can you beat a game? That's kind of cool. And, you know, talked to Josh and watched him more. And then eventually I was like, why don't I try this? There's games I loved as a kid I could speedrun. And before I knew it, I was streaming speedruns. And eventually it ended up with me going to GDQ and doing a run. And then because of, you know, working the commentary / you know, helping out run brackets kind of side of tournaments, I ended up just being volunteer staff because when I first started going, you know, paid staff wasn't a thing. We just did it. You know, we took time off to go do it because, I mean, who wouldn't want to go raise $1 million for charity? My first, ironic, it's like my first Evo was Evo Moment 34. My first GDQ that I went to is the first time they broke 1 million. So I guess I just need to go make my first events for, if you have a big event you're doing and I haven't gone and you want something cool to happen, I guess just get me there and maybe you'll get lucky.
Good thing you're going to be part of Commentator Cup then.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know, right?
Premiere for Commentator Cup.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, by the way, you know, I do want to clarify. I know most people probably know GDQ, Games Done Quick, AGDQ, Awesome Games Done Quick, the big speed running organization that does all the charity work. And you guys have raised millions and millions of dollars in the past few years. Do you have any world records? Speed running?
I do. I still have Castlevania Bloodlines is my main game. I've run it for 11 years. I've been working on with COVID. Obviously, I don't do much. My wife is a nurse, so I extra take caution and just don't go anywhere. I've been a recluse pretty much since February 2020. Yeah. You know, gained some pounds, lost some hair, as you can tell. Gave up that fight mid pandemic.
Hey man, same. Don't worry about it.
But I've actually been working on all this year on. I wanted to give all the categories proper recordings and updated strats and all that. So I've actually been going through and doing both the North American and Japanese versions with both characters and all 3 difficulties. So 12 categories that I'm trying to get every world record updated, and I'm through 7 of those. But I hold every category I've run in that game. I have the world record for. There's 3 categories I'll be doing next. Hopefully in the next few months I get it done. We'll see how long it takes. So
sick.
And I hold a few co-op world records with friends. My buddy PJ and I hold the Batman Forever Super Nintendo world record. People are always like, man, speedrunning probably hurts your hands. I'm like, it's not that bad, except for Batman Forever. That is a handbreaker.
Wow.
Play a platforming beat 'em up with the Mortal Kombat 2 SNES engine and see how your hands left.
I was about to say that was the terrible digitized fighting game, like the brawler game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, that one arcade record, Ninja Baseball Batman, which is a rare beat 'em up from what's the company name? I can't remember. It's an interesting mid 90s beat 'em up where you play as 4 robotic baseball players.
Yeah, that game is actually sick. I've watched a lot of speedruns.
And me and my 3 buddies, we have our Twitch team Poor Life Choices, because when we're together, stuff breaks.
I just like that because that means you have 2 Batman games that you're.
I do, yeah. Ironically, but yeah, we did that a long time ago. But that one's still held, and then I've dabbled in other games. I held a couple other records that have since been improved since then. But yeah, no, still mostly just the one game. I'm a one-trick speedrunning pony. I'm the master one technique, and that's all I can do. And if you can stop that, well, then my shonen anime run comes to an end. So.
I'm curious if you see any similarities between getting good at a fighting game and getting good at speedrunning.
Absolutely. So they're both they both subscribe to the main core idea. The more you put in, the more you get out. The more time you invest, the better you get. And a big similarity that I found is that fighting games, I like to tell people, I'm like, investing time is important, but if you're not investing it well, or you're not paying attention to how you're learning or what you're learning, you can invest a massive amount of time and actually not get better, because fighting games are really, really cruel when it comes to not caring about your feelings, not caring about your improvement. If you're not learning what your bad habits are and what you can be taking away from your losses, your wins, anything, your time in training mode, you won't see improvement. It's and it's why I say, it's probably one of the most difficult competitive genres to get into, because you can't just invest time. You have to invest time wisely, but you still have to invest a lot of time if you want to become an elite player. And speedrunning is kind of the same thing, but you get the luxury of you don't have to adapt near as much because your opponent is a computer. And obviously if you are willing to learn enough, and speedrunning tools are so advanced now with, people using the tool assisted tools just to go in and RAM watch and things about the games, how the memory works, how the RNG works. And so, but routing and practicing in speedrunning is very, very similar to going into training mode and practicing your setups, practicing your combos. It's a lot of repetition. Muscle memory is incredibly important in speed runs, especially runs where there isn't a lot of deviation or RNG. So there's a lot of holdover for both. And there's a reason that a decent amount of fighting game players have dabbled in speedrunning and vice versa. There's a pretty solid amount of crossover between the two communities, and it kind of works the same way. You see someone perfect something. It's like seeing someone who's a character specialist and play them for decades, and you just get to see it in an art form out of it. It's kind of the same way.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the crossover. Let's talk about perfects. Are you going to speed run your way through this bracket on Friday?
I'm gonna try. It's interesting. I played Strive a ton online. This will actually be my first tournament, just because for the first couple months, I'm not gonna lie, I'm old and I get impatient, and I did not want to deal with the lobby system trying to.
Sure.
I'm just
dude.
It was gonna be, I get in, match 3 times, get disconnected, have to load for 5 minutes. I I would have forfeited.
It's not the best.
I just, I've said I love Guilty Gear. I love Arxis to death. I've said many times they're damn lucky that netcode is as good as it is. This game would have been in trouble.
It was the monkey's paw, dude.
With this lobby system with old netcode, I don't think we would have near the enthusiasm for Strive right now.
Of course.
Nope, not even a little bit. Wouldn't even be playing it.
So, but when you guys asked me to do this, I'm like, this is a really cool thing because you guys talked about, people know commentators for commentary, and what they don't know is that a lot of us are good commentators because we're also very good players.
We're kind of nice.
But as you also mentioned, it is almost impossible to do both consistently and do well. You kind of, especially at live events, you pretty much have to take your pick. Are you going to sit in the commentary chair or are you going to sit in pools? It's really, really hard to do both.
Yeah. I mean, I used to enter every Evo and I finally stopped entering when commentary became, the bigger focus,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and because they both require, commentators, we love to talk about mental fatigue for, long major tournaments, the mental drain of playing in pools that might take 6, 7, 8 hours. And then the next day you're playing in top 64 and, you make a deep run. That's a lot of mental fatigue. Commentary can be the same way. If you have, you end up with 16 hours of shifts over a 3-day major, like you have to pace yourself. Especially because you want to, if you're commentating late in the weekend and you're commentating finals or top 8, you don't want that to be where you've run out of steam. That's where you got to ramp it up even more, which is why it's like anytime I top 8 comes up and I see my co-commentator, it's Steve, I'm like, okay, cool. The hype's taken care of. I don't. I'll be fine. We're good here.
Sure.
So, but they do. It takes. I think being a player is probably more mentally draining, just because again, you are consistently adapting to incredibly strong opponents who are there to stop you. Commentators are there. We help each other. We're not actually competing against one another.
Speak for yourself. I'm dragging you bastards down.
Okay, everyone else, you're not competing unless, like you said, it's competing for the not Hell Pockets chair. Then it's like, all right, blind pick, RPS me. Come on, let's go. But
Chris,
I do want to ask real quick. I know we're out of time here, but I know when Strive first dropped, not only was the lobby system frustrating, but playing Anji was very frustrating, right?
It was.
Where do you stand on Anji now with the buffs? And, do you feel like he's competitive now, or do you feel like he still needs some more love?
I don't feel like anybody's uncompetitive in Strive. It's just how much do you want to have consistently winning matchups? And the nice thing about Strive is it's a big damage game, and big damage games do shrink the matchup chart a little bit because no one is ever out of it. And, you do not leave someone with a magic pixel in Strive. That's a real bad idea. So I've been doing a lot of content for YouTube, something I've never really done, but I steadily updated my YouTube because there were so many people wanting Anji info and there's just no one doing it because he wasn't popular. He was very, very undertuned, and he still kind of is relative to the cast, in my opinion. But so I did a video on, what I thought he needed, and they ended up giving him a lot of stuff I thought would help, but he kind of has the same problems he had before, which is that his offense is still a little too linear and a little too easy for reactive play to work against. Anji's a character that if you play patient, you really shut down a lot of his best options. He's a high risk, high gamble character, and if you don't lean into that gambling, he can kind of struggle. He's definitely better. You're more likely to sneak in a rean or sneak in a hop and a grab here and there than you were before, because you can do them without making them block Fujin, which is something.
Right.
But his big problem right now for me is that he's still not great in neutral, and winning neutral is ungodly important in this game because of the nature of the defense and the damage in general. And his frame data is very subpar compared to the rest of the cast. I tell people with Strive, if you want to be a good character, there's 3 things you usually need to have. You need to have good buttons, you need to have good frame data, and a command grab. And if you have at least 2 of those, you're
Damn.
probably a good character. And if you have 3, you're probably an elite character. So
Yeah.
and Anji has half of those with some okay buttons. And
because I mean he's
the
one of the
rest-
6-frame characters, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
it's
being
like-
a 6-frame character,
There should
is
be no 6-frame
brutal.
buttons.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
brutal. You know, you can kind of justify it for a character like Axel. That's kind of the whole point. If someone gets to Axel, he's supposed to be in trouble. Like,
right.
Fair enough.
you know, that's the one character that I'm like, you can kind of justify it. I still don't think anyone should have a 6-frame be their fastest button in a game where
Anji, especially Anji.
yeah, no, I mean that was what the character was designed around. Was he had good buttons all around. His kit as a whole is fantastic, but he had no magic buttons. You had to use the right one for the right situation. There's no 3-frame stand kick on Anji, so I think he doesn't need a lot more to be very competitive, to be a very scary character. I think a little bit of frame data tweak might be enough. But
Like
we'll
a free
see.
3-frame stand kick.
Yeah, right. But we'll see. I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't take too much stock in Strive 1.0. Don't even take too much stock in Strive 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4 because Guilty Gear isn't Guilty Gear for the long haul until at least the second version.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm kind of sad we probably won't see Strive Regulation 2, you know, whatever crazy Arxis name. It's probably just going to be Strive Season 2, and I'll be like, that's not right. Like, it's got a meme. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's got to be Strive Regeneratory or something.
Yeah, but until Arxis adds all those characters and adds whatever inevitable system mechanics or system mechanic alterations, we're not playing the Guilty Gear we're going to be playing in 2 years yet. That's not here yet. You just go look at Exerd's Sign and think about what that game was like, and set it next to Rev 2, and you're like, oh god, we played that game.
I just also want to say, you know, when you were talking about how Anji has to take a bunch of risks, when you watch, was it Jisoo from Japan or Korea? And
Jiro,
yeah, and he just does Rin 5 times in a row overhead.
Yeah,
it's like minus 16, and he doesn't
minus
care.
16,
and he lands every one of them.
That's the nice part about playing a character, you know, has terrible frame data and has to take risks to win. You're just like, I have license to be a jackass now, so I'm gonna. If I play honest, I lose. So why would I do that?
All right, dude. Well, looking forward to seeing you play on Friday night. That's cool. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
And quick question: where's Klaige from? Where does Klaige come from?
I am from Central Iowa, capital city Des Moines. So most of you have no idea where that is, but it's pretty much dead center of the United States, more or less. So I'm 6 hours from Chicago and 4 hours from Minneapolis.
No, where does your handle come from? Not where
where's
you
my handle
geographically-
from?
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant literal.
No. Where does the name Klaige?
Where is Klaige?
Yeah, I was like, where's the story going here?
I was like, wait a minute.
Well, it's James, so I assumed it's either literal or a pun. So
Right.
Talk yourself, man. Everybody's
fair.
coming for you now.
yeah,
That's fair.
Nobody's coming to Des Moines. Let's be real. No, just truth be told, just old AOL chat room. I'm just like, just needed a handle, and I used to write a lot in high school, and I just liked making up names, and so I just threw it together, and it's been there since 1997.
Let's go.
That's like one of the most controlled, selected.
You actually came up with your own name. Wow. Not many people have done that. You know,
it just became my handle, and I have an to it, and that's where like my icon art and stuff comes from. So
that's awesome.
You know, just general 90s nerdy shit.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we'll see you on Friday, dude. Good luck.
Yeah, we'll see you Friday.
Looking forward to it. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, dude. Can we talk about how many of the things that he was talking about that are like direct analogs to my own life? him picking his handle for AOL right here, having the dad who brought home the console, and it was actually your dad's console, but you know, you as a 3-year-old were playing with it. It happened to me as well. Picking up fighting games in terms of the competitive side in college, because we were both in college at around the same time, more or less. That's cool. That's cool. There's not a lot of us that age, who had all those.
And actually, technically, your first Evo was the same Evo, right?
It actually was. The first Evo that I went to was that same Evo.
You just didn't go on Sunday.
Yes, my friend did not want to go back. Yeah, I haven't told you the story. Yeah. My friend and I from my hometown drove out to Cal Poly, and we were there for Saturday, and then he didn't want to go back on Sunday. I was like, "Come on, dude! Like, let's go to the second day too." And he was like, whatever." We didn't show up the next day, and we missed the moment. Yeah, it's true.
You should have found a different way home, man.
It's true.
Brutal.
Rough.
But anyway, all right. That was the choice we made, and we had no idea what would lead from it. All right, thanks a lot, Dan, for coming on. Let's move on to the next one. 5-5 matchup. We have our own topic, and since we're trying to keep better on time nowadays, we're going to limit it to 2 5-5s, which means that we're going to be doing one for us, come up with by us, and then also one from viewers rather than the 2 that we normally do. So that's the schedule.
Well, I mean, I guess if there's a week where we can't come up with anything great, we can take from you 2 from you guys too.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, but if there is a question that we have that we really want to talk about it,
yes,
then this is the format we're going to be doing. All right, here's what we're talking about. You can see it below. Commentator versus player. This old chestnut pops up again. Can one of you guys explain to me why it's the topic?
Yeah, so basically, the discussion came up again. Someone talking about the difference between being a commentator and a player, and that the commentators are so much more privileged and blessed than the players.
Held in higher regard.
Yeah, held in higher regard, get paid more than the players and such. And then we had a couple of people put out their own opinions on the topic, including Rushdown, who said that he felt like commentators are 100% more important than the players are. And then other people like Phenom tweeted back that like players are definitely more important. If you have the right players, my hamster could commentate it and it would be fine.
Let's not just say players though, not players as a whole. The 0.01 top percent of top players, like that's what they're talking about. The tippy top players, not just the entire FGC.
Yeah,
we're talking about top players.
I think you're right, but was that explicit in what Phenom wrote? Probably not, right?
No. Phenom was saying, if you got the right play, like the players, okay. If you got the best and most popular players, like a Smug,
okay.
like like those guys, that anyone can commentate.
Commentators are.
And so what do you guys say on this one?
I say everyone is wrong and stupid. The majority of people who are talking about this have no fucking clue what they're talking about. I don't get involved in this stuff on Twitter. Like I don't engage in this type of stuff because it's so ill-informed, the things that people say, that it gets me heated. Like I don't want to talk about it on a public forum with people who think they really know what they're talking about but don't. So I guess my biggest take from all of this is if people are actually thinking this, that commentators get paid more, that commentators' jobs are stable, that commentators get paid on time, that commentators are held in higher regard, ask us. Just ask us next time. If you think that's true, find a commentator. Find one. There's like 100 of us. Find one. And every single one will tell you that they've been paid 7 months late on a net 30. Every single one will tell you that they've worked for free. Every single one will tell you that things they were told they were going to get never happened. Every single one will tell you that they thought they were getting paid, and then 3 years later they gave up on chasing the bill. Like, this is not stuff that only players go through. The commentators go through it as well. It's an esports problem. It's not a players versus commentators problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. And as far as who gets paid more, even when you're talking about the sort of top level players versus commentators, it is true that say that you have a big event like in Evo or something. Everybody who commentates that is going to get paid, but a little bit. And some of them will get paid more, but nobody gets paid a ton.
A lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so like the most that I've ever gotten for an FGC event for a weekend is a couple $1,000s. And that was nice. I was happy to get that, but that was also me working, I don't know, 8 hours a day for 3 days, I guess, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was putting in real work, but that was rare. And in general, it's a few $100. If you're a player, I mean, that's true. If you're a player, then again, we're talking about this kind of like high echelon of players. Many of them won't get paid. The players who do get paid a bonanza, $200,000 or whatever, right? Like that's the high limit of it. Nothing like that exists for commentary. It's completely different.
No.
So sort of in a way, it's a little bit more dependable, but because it's on the lower end of things, comparatively speaking. And for players, the upside is gigantic, but oftentimes you don't get paid when you go to an event, right? So there's just kind of the trade-offs there. I don't know. I wish that the tournaments were a little bit less the sort of tournament model of economics where everything goes to the top. I wish it wasn't quite that skewed, but on the other hand, some players specifically want that also, right? So, I mean, that's my kind of view on that. And as far as the respect issue, sort of who has the better reputation, I really feel like that's just a person by person thing. That is not a sort of class of commentator or player. There's players who everybody thinks are super cool. There are commentators who everybody thinks are super cool. There are players that a lot of people think suck. There are commentators a lot of people think suck. That's true, right? So it's and that's the case for whatever the role is. A tournament organizer, somebody who does media, somebody who streams, like that's just the case. And so that is much more about who you are as a person, how well do you do whatever the thing that you're doing. That is not related to whether you're a great commentator or a great player. It's a sort of separate question, or that is to say, not related to the category you're in. It's related to whether you're good at doing that. And I mean, look, the commentary is hard to be good at. I wouldn't say it's as hard as being a top player, to be honest. I mean, I've tried to be both, and I think I spent more time trying to be a top player. And I think that people who are top players now need to spend even more time than I was doing 10 years ago, 12 years ago at this point. And so, yeah, I do think that probably is harder. That said, it's a totally different skill set. And some players who are great at playing are real bad commentators, because I've heard them do it. And some players who were real bad at commentary at the start have learned how to be good commentators. That's awesome, because it's a learnable separate skill that some people can figure out. And then there are players who I'm sure would just be great at it. I've heard some people be great at it. In fact, many of the people who are commentators now were players. And we have made that transition, right? So that is, again, it's just a separate set of skills. It's not necessarily related to whether you're good at one thing or the other. There is a little bit of crossover. Hard to be a good commentator if you're ass at games, right? But like on the other hand, you don't need to be the best player in the world to be a great commentator. So I don't know. I'm not sure why this is a topic, like why anybody needs it to be.
It comes up like once every year.
I know it does, but why?
And then it extends to TOs get paid too much all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which they don't, and like
a
lot of very ill-informed people
should get paid big bucks.
They should, but they don't.
They don't.
I'm gonna say, I mean, like somebody in the chat says you don't even have to try and you still get paid as a commentator. That is 100% false. Right? I mean, most commentators don't get paid. Like,
for sure. Yeah, I was talking earlier about like a specific major, and there are still some pro tours, some weeklies that pay. Many don't. So a lot of the stuff is just free. So you're actually not getting paid at all.
Yeah, you don't get paid.
But here's the thing, right? Even at the start of this whole thing, I used to think that commentary was probably the least important role between TOs, players, and commentators. I always did think that, commentators were probably the least vital piece of that, because without TOs, you can't run anything. Without players, there's nothing to run and there's nothing to watch, right? The thing about it is my view has changed a lot recently, especially with the way that we're changing with a lot of these regions, right? Because for something like CPT, we are commentating regions and events of players that we don't know, right? A lot of these people we actually don't know, and it really does take the commentary to kind of drive that thing. And then the popularity of games, I think, is very highly affected by the commentary as well. Like, for example, Tekken 7, was gaining so much steam and popularity at one point. And if you don't think that has a lot to do with Tasty Steve and just how infectious he is and, how much fun he is and how that rubs off on Rip and Markman and everybody else and everything like that, the commentary definitely helps a lot. Fighting games are hard to watch, as much as you want to think that they're not hard to watch. But there's so much subtlety going on because there's fighting games, I think, have a lot of things to talk about that aren't showing up on screen. There's a lot of things that don't happen that commentary can cover. Oh, he chose not to do this because the last couple of times he got shimmied, so this time he didn't try to throw, so you notice that. And I think like those kind of things are really important as well. So I really do think like I said, I used to honestly believe that the commentators probably had the least important role, but at this point in time I feel like it's kind of shifted a little bit, and I do think commentary is very important because, there's like David said, there are a lot of times you watch some. In fact, just recently I heard some people complaining about bad commentary at a major just this past year, actually, and how it affected the stream, and it can make a big difference.
I mean, if you're a top player like Phenom, then you are less likely to be watching for the commentary because you know everything. You know probably more than the commentators do. Like, you're a world expert. Not many people in the whole world know the game better than you. So you don't necessarily need commentary, but that's a very niche perspective. And I think for many of us, even people who do know the games well, commentary can add a lot. But if you're him, I get that you don't particularly need the commentary. You can have your hamster do it because you know everything anyway. That's fine. That's not the case for most people. Even people who know the game reasonably well will probably still hear something different, or even if it's not factual, even if it's something else, like a joke or a story or whatever it may be that the commentator adds, that can still add value. Anyway, both roles are important. It's so weird that this comes up all the time.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's just stupid.
I don't get it, man.
Yeah.
We're
on the same team here, guys.
In conclusion, the most important the job that is actually the best regarded and actually pays the most is neither. The answer is content creator. The answer is content creator.
Actually, Giuna had the best tweet. He said the people who get paid the most are the ones who vulture all the matches and put them all on YouTube. Like, they make the most money.
Those guys
for sure.
do
The replay
pay.
vultures.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, for content creators, whether you come at that, obviously there are a lot of people who want to be content creators or who are and are making a little bit of money. There are not that many people actually making a lot of money doing it, but it does have probably the most consistent amount of high money that you can get. Hard to do, to be clear, and luck involved and yada yada, but that is something that is probably the best of whatever it is. And you can come to that from commentator, and you can come to that from player, and you can come to that from whatever side, because those aren't the categories that are against each other in any way. They're just complementary. They're all important.
Well, I'm coming from the side that wants to move on because we're 10 minutes past our time.
I mean, the one thing I also just want to address real quick is the idea that commentators can spin the narrative, basically, and kind of tell that's our job, dude. Like, that's what people do in all competitive things in basketball and sports and football and hockey and stuff. Like,
if you want the narrative to not be that you're an asshole, don't be a dick about things.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
real easy for the narrative to not be negative about you. Don't be negative.
Exactly.
It's on you.
It's weird, but it works.
All right, one weird trick. Let's move on to the next one. This is the part where we let you decide what we're going to be talking about. Do you, by chance, have the poll?
I just put it up on created the poll. Not yet. I am creating the poll right now.
Whilst you do that, I will read the questions out. Number 1, will the new Melty Blood save the FGC? Number 2, if you were to create a fighting game, how would you go on developing the rank mode? Number 3, describe what your ideal tournament looks like. No restrictions or limitations as far as budget, location, games, and people. Dang. 4, everything has GGPO, and I wish I could learn every game, but I can't. How do I trim down my to-learn list? Uni and Melty and Gear. Oh my! Fightcade and Flycast bring oldies online. Too many good games, a tear finds my eye. How many is too many games to try? I love it. I love it. Number 5. Capcom, Arxis, NRS, SNK, Arika, Bamco, Type Moon, Nintendo, Sega, Rare, Lab Zero, and French Bread all vanished through a time tunnel with all their games. Lost to history. What remaining fighting game series do you now main? 6. What is your favorite option select? Is there a point at which too many option selects make a game unfun?
The poll has been created. Type exclamation mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to vote for the question that you want. If you are a subscriber to our channel, you can vote twice. So that is the power right there. So let's get this going. We will not let it run for too long. Again, we're only answering one question. So if one question takes a decided lead, I am going to go ahead and just cut it off at that point in time. And right now we have 2 questions that are very, very closely tied. Oh, no, one of them is pulling away. One of them is pulling away. Oh, no, it's the lead is shrinking. The lead is shrinking.
All right, cut it.
Cut it?
Yeah, cut it.
All right. If I cut it right now, the poll has now been closed. The winner is question number... Oh, God, the poll is tying itself. Hang on a second. Oh, come on. Really? It ended with a tie. Hang on. Keep voting. Keep voting. Keep voting real quick. Keep voting real quick. Real quick. Look, I'll tell you right now, the 2 that are winning are number 2 and 3. Vote for either 2 or 3.
Ooh.
Vote for either 2 or 3. Because they have.
All right, you got 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
3 is in the lead. So let's do the number 3 over here. Interesting. That is not the one that I would have expected here. But let's actually get this in here really quick. Boom, 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 boom. All right.
Ooh,
describe what your ideal tournament looks like. No restrictions or limitations as far as budget, location, games, and people.
Okay, wow. What my ideal tournament looks like. No restrictions or limitations. But I don't know if I want to make big changes. This sounds silly, but I feel like I'm pretty content with things. If I could just, like, what if you gave, Combo Breaker 1x bet money without them having to have a shady, horrible sponsor? Like, what if you got We Play money? That would be cool. And what I would guess is that a lot of it would have the similar feel already. But, like, on the other hand, people get paid more. The stages are probably fancier looking. Maybe there's smoke machines. Wow, smoke machines. Whatever. Just some esports extra glitz. Whatever the AR technology that they had at WePlay. That kind of stuff, it would be cool. Just a mix. I mean, I don't want anything that is brand new. It would be, whatever, try it out, I guess. But what I'm immediately thinking is, I really like grassroots-driven fighting game events, and I really like invitationals that have very fancy budgets. And what if a grassroots fighting game event had a fancy budget? That's like my whole ability to think about what I'm looking for here, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
Kubo?
You basically took my answer.
Pyrotechnics!
My ideal tournament.
Giant screens! Like,
already happened. It was Combo Breaker 2019. I can't think of a better tournament that can happen. I mean, it was fighting game land for 72 hours. Well, longer for me. I get there early, but it's fighting game land for 72 hours. There's arcade cabinets lining the hallways. There's setups in the pool area. There's electronic video game setups.
Yeah.
There's people plugging their laptops in to play whatever game on Steam throughout the hallways. Everything's 24 hours. It doesn't close. This is like fighting game Vegas. Like it's ridiculous. Like it doesn't get any better to me. Like it.
I mean, look.
the glitz and the glam and stuff. It doesn't do anything for me. I like the look of Combo Breaker how it was. I'm not even sure the Combo Breaker can ever top itself in my brain. Combo Breaker 2019 is like the perfect weekend to me. It was the best tournament.
It was a great one, no doubt about it. But I do think it'd be nice if the glitz was a little glitzier. And it's not necessary. I had a fantastic time, but
I like the grimy look. I think it fits.
the grimy look, okay.
Yeah, the
What if they
the
had
graffiti
paid,
look?
What if they had paid $1,000 for a Balenciaga white hoodie instead of just like buying a white hoodie at Kmart for $20?
Me and Rick would have words. We would have serious words.
But it's unlimited budget. And then he would be like, all right, Tupperware for commentary, you're going to be paid $40,000.
That would be sick, but you better not be selling Balenciaga hoodies at the Combo Breaker booth. Like that's the issue. That's not Combo Breaker anymore.
What do you mean you have a streetwear thing out, as you know?
Balenciaga is not street. I mean, they have streetwear. It's there, It's like
I don't know.
if you go to a fancy restaurant, they have French fries, but come on.
Like, in conclusion, I guess I could come up with some absurd stuff where, like, if there's an unlimited budget, why don't we go into space? It'd be cool.
Yeah,
I just can't believe you even said the word Balenciaga. I've never even heard of that.
It's a clothing brand. Very expensive clothing brand. They just put out a Fortnite situation, and it literally just says Fortnite Balenciaga on a plain white hoodie, and the hoodie costs $1,000.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
if Rick sold something like that, that would be like Ricky sold out.
Look, I mean,
that's a problem.
Honestly, like, if you had unlimited budget, what would your ideal tournament look like?
Space.
I mean, for me,
underwater fighting game tournament.
A lot of it would be, something to make sure there's something for everyone to do, right? I mean, the thing about it is, like, one of the best things about EVO as a tournament is that it's very good to be a spectator at EVO. More so than it is to be a player at EVO. If you have a player, like, sometimes it just feels like there's not much to do, right? But if you are at Combo Breaker, that's definitely a better tournament for the players, not as much for the spectators, I think, right? I don't
give a damn about them.
But see,
I'll be real. I don't care. If it's my tournament, I don't. Whatever.
Right. But
yeah, you're right though, James. You're right.
That's my point. So I would try to do something that combines it all together. That gives people a good way to be a spectator. Like, one of the things that Combo Breaker did that was awesome was that the hallways were lined with TVs. And they were playing the different streams on them. And so I bought an ice cream from the ice cream shop, and I sat on a couch. And from where I was sitting on the couch, I could watch Soul Calibur here, and I could watch, Third Strike happening there and stuff like that. Okay. That was super cool to me. That's what I would try to do. I would try to create a tournament that balances that out. And the glitz is actually kind of important because, let's face it, when we are in the Mandalay Bay and you have an entire audience screaming about the same thing that everybody else is screaming about, I've always said that's one of the most fantastic experiences ever, right? That's just a really, really cool experience because you spend so much time getting excited about a fighting game and none of your friends know what the hell is going on, but then, you're in this room, all of a sudden someone pulls some combo, or you see Goichi block for 5 minutes, and everyone else is like, what is the big deal? Is he just blocked for 5 minutes, but everybody else knows how hard that is. And when you're in that room with everybody who knows how hard it is, and you're just going, like the whole time, that is an amazing experience. So I would like to create the glitz, but keep it as grassroots as possible, right? I mean, maybe EVO doesn't need to be run on fold-out tables with with hotel chairs and stuff like that,
it should be run underwater.
Yeah, exactly. We should in a terrarium, right?
On a moon base.
Yeah, on the moon base.
In an aquarium in space.
And we should be played on the moon, and the entire time the speakers are piping da 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 da, like the entire time. That would be the ideal tournament, right?
And go insane, and
I would also go
insane.
insane.
Duck.
Also, the beach, but not whack exists, and it has.
Yeah, it's first
It's first
attack.
It has existed. It's a great tournament.
Yeah. But again, that's just kind of what it is. And yeah, I still would have it. So like, obviously if you had infinite money, you wouldn't need the sponsors, but you still need the sponsor booths there. You still need, like, there's a lot of things like, the artist alley at Evo is wonderful for people. Cause like I said, there was a point in time where literally we had people come up to the staff at Evo and they're like, we want to buy things. We're here because we want to watch and we want to buy cool fighting game stuff. And we looked around and there was literally nothing to buy. Right? So, all that stuff kind of comes together, and it's interesting because a lot of people come from different views, but when you create a tournament like that, you want to create a tournament that caters to as many different kinds of people as possible.
Sure.
And
That
so
makes sense.
if I had infinite money, that would be my focus right there. So
That sounds like a great answer, to be honest. Mm-hmm. In space.
in space, for sure, with the moon theme.
Underwater.
The DuckTales
Also,
moon
I
theme.
like the suggestion that somebody had where I think it was Fante who said you buy the entrance ticket, and sticking by the no limitations as far as budget goes, if you buy the entrance ticket, you get a lifetime of free healthcare and a pension.
Sick.
Dude, okay, best
That would be
tournament
the greatest
ever.
tournament. Yeah.
Best
It would be the
tournament
greatest tournament,
ever.
yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, right there. Done. Answer's gone. All right,
All
let's
right.
talk about
So
some
how
Nickelodeon.
All-Star Brawl, yeah.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one then. By the way, we should be quick on each of these because we are running out of time. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Guess what? We have seen gameplay breakdowns for Patrick, Ren and Stimpy, and Leonardo. And you can see my quick, succinct descriptions below. Patrick is a grappler. Leonardo is default sword guy from the video game in Japan that you've never played because you don't live in Japan. Ren and Stimpy is not ice climbers. Those are the
No, they're
descriptions.
not ice climbers. They're an ice climbers. There's a difference.
Is not an ice climbers.
So you said Banjo-Kazooie was an ice climber or not an ice
Yeah,
climber?
for
He
sure.
thinks
Why
Banjo
not?
is an ice climber. Yes.
Why
So
not?
They're
Sure.
definitely Banjo-Kazooie is or Duck Hunt. It's one of those. It's that kind of thing.
They're all
not
an ice climbers. And
what about
Hungry Box called them ice climbers, so I win.
So here's the question: is Pac-Man an ice climber? Because of a lot of his smash attacks, he hits
just
you with
Pac-Man.
ghosts. He hits you with the
just
ghosts all the time.
They're not hanging out on his back. They're not controlled together. Their
That's
inside is whatever.
That
would be like calling a Hadouken an ice climber, James, and they already call everyone a Shoto, so
But
let's
that's
not get
the
us
whole
even more
point,
confused.
right? Because Ren and Stimpy, that's exactly what they were doing. The exact same thing as Pac-Man would do. He throws ghosts on both sides. He hits with other things. That's basically. It's not.
We're running out of time here. We got to move this up. So yeah, Patrick's a grappler.
And he has a fart attack. So obviously, this is my day
That's
one
true.
main. Most likely, there's not like a dedicated zoner looking character yet. Honestly, Leo to me, very boring. Doesn't fit very
I think
well
he looks
with the other
effective
characters.
though. I think he looks strong.
Dude, he's gonna be
100% he looks
Marth,
good.
right? It's just gonna be
Yeah,
Marth
it doesn't.
again.
I was
He's
thinking.
Marth.
I was
That's
thinking
what
Marth.
I'm getting at.
Yeah.
AKA not interesting. Nobody plays Marth because they're like, this character's cool. He's effective and footsies are fun. Playing footsies is fun. I could see myself playing Marth. But it's not like this character is such an interesting design. No, that's not the point of the character. So I feel like that's what they did with Leo. All these other characters have move names that are like little in-jokes or references to the series that they're from. And his are literally like aerial slash, crouching aerial slash, jumping aerial slash. Like it was as very boring.
Diving kick.
Although
Yeah.
the one thing that I really loved about Ren and Stimpy's design, though, was that he takes advantage of the strafe button.
Yeah.
Because all of his attacks have two directions of attacks, and the one behind does different things. Like, there was the one attack that can hit people hanging on the ledge, but it only hits backwards. And so with the strafe button, now you can run up to people while facing backwards and actually attack them with that. I thought that was actually kind of neat. Like, what a clever design, and taking advantage of your unique mechanic, which is that strafing button. So I think that was sick.
Same thing with Cat Dog. Cat Dog has that kind of mechanic too, and I'm excited about that.
Okay.
As far as Ren and Stimpy's stage goes, great reference. It's the Space Madness episode from Classic Ren and Stimpy. Looks
Floss
like it
with
cannot be a
Pokeflies.
competitive stage. Yeah, because it's basically Poke
Definitely
Floats.
not. Yeah, not.
But
not
it's a
good.
cool idea. All right, let's move on. In King of Fighters 15, James's longtime favorite character, Kukri, was revealed. What did you think?
I mean, look, I actually have issues with Kukri. I don't like Kukri as a character.
Okay.
So, he has to be there because the story-wise, but he's the one who, in SNK Heroines, captures everybody and forces them to wear goofy costumes and stuff. And so, I've always just like, ugh. But,
Good old...
Yeah, so, but the thing is, he's kind of necessary to the story. The weird part right now is what team is he going to be on? Most likely probably going to be with Ash and potentially Elizabeth because of the KOF 14 ending. But having said that, he looks really nicely done. He looks like it's just probably a testament that how much they're improving the as the trailers go on, because he's one of the first repeat characters that I think looks really, really cool. Because even in fact in 14, you could never really see his face, but in this one, the lighting is a little different. You can actually see more of his face and stuff. And he definitely looks like he's related to the Braids girl and stuff.
Sand is highly, highly improved.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. There's fire effects on some of his stuff, and it still doesn't look good. But the sand itself, I do think looks a lot better.
The sand looks much better.
Yeah, so
that's good to see.
Again, it's cool to see. So I mean, I hope we see some of even the older characters look a little bit better after, by the time it's released. I mean, I'm not holding my breath on some characters, but hopefully. So, but the crazy part is we're getting towards the end. They said 39 characters, and we only have like maybe 6 slots left. So it's getting down to it. And the craziest part is it probably means that there's not going to be a Kim Capwan, which is one of the most interesting ones because he's one of the remaining perfect attendances in King of Fighters, and there's a chance that Kim Capwan might not show up, or I should just say Kim, because apparently he's not Kim Capwan anymore, because that's a real human.
Yeah,
a real human. So they have to.
I'm sure there's a Ken Masters out there. What does that matter?
Probably is, yeah. Under Night in Birth news, kind of. There's not a ton to talk about on this, but it's cool. The studio manager Nobuya Narita and composer Raito said that they're working on the next installment. I put the quote down there at the bottom in the tweet from Raito. We are working on the next installment of Uni.
Yeah.
So very cool.
That happened. That's a thing.
First one came out 9 years ago. This will be the 5th installment, the next one. I mean, it's a series that over the last few games, a lot of people have come to really enjoy. So I think that's great.
Rollback net code, please.
Right. Yeah, they haven't said anything about that. It's not. There's nothing more than literally these couple tweets. But
yeah,
you would hope that there's going to be a rollback. Yes.
Barely an announcement.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, again, if that game doesn't have rollback, it's DOA. So.
Correct.
Getting in there.
Let's move on to CPT Japan 2. Briefly say that there was a tournament, and it was a Street Fighter tournament in Japan, which is, as you may have heard, pretty good at Street Fighter. And it was won by a player who's been playing fighting games for a couple of years. That's SNB Higuchi, who played with Guile. And he lost to and then beat in grand finals FAV Sako, who is more than twice his age, over 20 years older than him, is as old as you can be and have been a little kid, I would think, when fighting games came out. Like, that's the max. You're not older than Sako and you were a little kid when fighting games came out. So he's the original generation, and Higuchi is the latest generation. And in Japan, there has been an issue, we've talked about it in the past, that they themselves have identified, of having this amazing older generation, Sako at the absolute beginning of it, Daigo there, even more recently, but still kind of old at this point. People like Momochi, then Bonchan. Like, there's folks who've been around. Who's the new blood? Well, Namen won Evo Japan, and then now Higuchi won CPT.
There was another event, I think, that Kawano won as well.
Kawano, that's true.
Was definitely one of the ones that's kind of growing in the cusp of things.
Absolutely.
And I think this is great. Like, this is what I think the Japan scene needs, to be honest with you. I think that they need this kind of infusion of the younger players to be able to do some work. And to see Higuchi, who clearly just jumped out as a shining star right now, from the get-go, I think it's awesome. And shoot, let me see if I can find my tweet on this, dude. Like, because this is ridiculous what he was able to accomplish, dude.
While you do that, second place was Sako Manat. Bonchan got third with Karen Nash Sagat, and fourth was Momochi with Akira and Ken. So, you still got a lot of the classic names up there, but the characters are Guile, Manat, Karen, Nash, Sagat, Akira, Ken.
Dude, that topic, dude, Momochi Akira was so sick, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
So
who did Higuchi beat?
So look, there's two players I couldn't read the name because they were in Japanese, so I don't know. But on his way to Capcom Cup, in this order, he beat Fujimura, Kindebu, Shuto, Momochi, Crusher, Momochi, Bonchan, Sako, and Sako.
Bunch of scrubs.
Like, that
Whatever.
list right there is ridiculous. Because Fujimura,
All I heard
like,
was a
in
bunch of
second
old,
round,
washed up again. All of them are washed.
congrats to Higuchi.
That's what Twitch chat would say.
Super cool.
Oh, is Higuchi actually part of the team Shinobism? He's one of Momochi's students.
Yeah.
Then?
Oh, sick.
Okay, nice. There you go.
Well, the student has become the master.
Yeah,
Hold
he's
that
Darth
L,
Vader
Momochi.
now, dude. So yeah, there you go. But that's awesome for him, dude. Again, like I said, I think that's so important for the Japanese scene to have this start happening. Honestly, I think it's beneficial to the scene.
I definitely agree. There are still two more qualifiers for Japan, by the way. So far, it's Mago and Higuchi. Move on to the next one here. We got Twitch Rivals Guilty Gear. As we talked about last time, there was going to be an event last week. Now it's happened. A team tournament between Japan and North America, even though Japan also had a Korean player. And I think North America was only US. So whatever.
It was only West Coast.
Well, plus...
Hitachi flew
One
out.
plus
to
Otashi
West Coast,
flew.
yeah.
Otashi flew out to California. Otherwise,
Right.
all California.
All right, there you go. So it was a $20,000 team tournament. Twitch Rivals, very cool. And it was a dunking. It was a big old dunking. Japan dominated.
Yeah, but also Reynold won during an earthquake, so Japan loses by default.
Yeah.
I don't know if people saw, I guess, I'm sure you guys saw, but I don't know if everybody watching saw. There's a clip you can watch on Reynolds' stream of him literally mid-match versus, I think, BNBBN playing, and he's Axel, and he's literally like, oh my god, there's an earthquake, like, while he's playing in the tournament match, and he won that round. And not only did he win that round, but he did actually a sick Axel combo during that round.
He picked his stick up off the desk and, like, squatted down with his stick and was, like, in a weird pooping position while playing, trying not to fall over during the earthquake.
Yeah, you wouldn't know because you're not from California, but that's actually the position that you're supposed to get into in an
You're supposed to go in a pooping position?
get into pooping position. No.
That's what were they telling you guys out there?
Dude,
But you don't know. You would have accepted that if I'd said
Yeah, man, I would have been like, all right,
Dude,
sure.
the funniest thing about it was I was doing the restream, and when the earthquake happened, I was like, wait, was there an earthquake? Because, like, things started shaking. I was like, was there an earthquake? Oh, well, anyways, Axel was doing this and blah, blah, blah. And everyone in my chat was like, man, you could totally tell you were from California. Because, like, it just didn't matter to me, dude. Like, I was just like, oh.
I mean, unless your house is falling down, what can you do?
Of course.
Yeah, you're not supposed to run, so yeah, hang out.
Yeah.
Churara got 8-0 record, and RF got an 8-0 record, and they did it with Kai and Faust. So
Dude,
congrats to them.
Churara is ridiculous. Did you watch his match versus Reynold? All he did was run up into his face and DP or throw, and he was right like 90% of the time, dude. It was the
Your
most
face double wear.
Dude, it was ridiculous. That guy was just right
My
in
nightmare.
every situation. I can't even explain
Absolutely
it.
my nightmare.
When I was commentating it, I was just like, he was, what? Like, what? Dude, it was like the dumbest thing. And I was
That's
just
like literally how I view David as a fighting game player. Like, that's the type of nut I think you are. I think that you are fully capable of doing that.
Well, if I thought it was going to be effective versus somebody, I would.
Yeah, I mean, you would do that in tournament against a top player for sure.
If I thought
it was going to work.
But that's not like my default style.
I mean, the cool thing was
Maybe
Reynolds.
not. I hope that's not his as well, but maybe it is.
Reynolds was the only U.S. player I think to go 4-4. That's why he was in the final exhibition.
He went 5-3.
He went 5-3. Only one U.S. player went 0-8. So actually, a lot of people thought.
And it wasn't Hanzo Gonzo.
No, it was Cloud 805, and Hanzo Gonzo actually went 2-6.
Yeah, there was actually the results were actually pretty strong, and like Hotashi actually didn't even do as well as I had expected, but he beat
3 and
Daru
5.
Ino. He actually beat Daru Ino, which was super impressive. So,
Cool.
but that whole thing was really fun exhibition. Shout outs to Netcode. I'm sure it wasn't great, but still we could run that exhibition. Like you just can't run it in any other game. Seriously.
Super cool.
So, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's true. Technically, Hanzo was tied for third place on the U.S. team with Kissy K and Apology Man. So
Yeah.
nice work. All right. Red Bull has welcomed Cuddle Core. Congrats to her. Woo! She has become a Red Bull athlete. It was a very cute video where she was presented the Red Bull hat and like realized what had happened. And
by Anakin,
by Anakin, yeah, who's also a Red Bull athlete. And that was great. It was a great video. Congrats to her. She's very well deserving, of course.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, she's so, I think, important to the community because I think she represents, you know, for a lot of women out there who do want to play fighting games. You know, they can see someone like Cuddle Core with the success and being able to persevere through this kind of environment, inspire a lot of people. Remember when Romanova was on here, we were talking about how Persia inspired a lot of people, being one of the first women commentators, you know, like top 8 at Evo and stuff like that. And I think that was a big deal for a lot of people. She said she was inspired by Persia. And so I think Cuddle Core is, you know, one of the most important people in the FGC right now, and doing a lot of great things. So I'm really happy for her. I think she's a fantastic player, fantastic representative of our community.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I realized that. Oh, go on.
I was saying congrats. That's it. That's
High
the
five.
word.
I realized that we skipped ICFC Strive, so just wanted to briefly say that that is an ongoing weekly series that has been going on for, I don't know, how you were doing commentary. How many weeks did that last?
It was basically 9 weeks, and the 10th week was the finals. And they were all really, really exciting. Really, really good stuff. I mean, there was a soul in every grand finals. But only in Japan did the soul actually win. That was a Hisi who won over Daru Ino, doing the 2 sets to come back. In Europe, which I commentated, that one was won by Snake Belmont. And he basically just, he was like almost unstoppable. And he was really, really cool. He played really, really well. In America... in America, it was won by K7 Show Off, and the last round was the most ridiculous round I've ever seen, because second place is Punk, and if you get to a point where you have a pixel left as Leo versus Punk's soul, and Punk has still 90% of his life, you're just like...
Then you have every chance in the world to win. You're playing Leo. Are you kidding me? You have every chance in the world to
Talking
win.
up Leo here.
Leo is the best, and it's not even close.
Even against
S+.
Punk, huh? Even against Punk, huh? So,
Dude,
in
Leo
any
is
case,
damn good.
it was an amazing comeback. Show Off. I mean, that was an amazing comeback. It was beautiful stuff.
Sure.
So, for anybody who doesn't just absolutely hate Leo with a passion, it was great.
I'm not taking away from K7. I'm just saying that character doing 90% off one touch is not. That's what, 2 mixes away? He wins. GG. Shake my hand.
To Korea, which were first and second places in the Asia region, and as well as also 5th, so 3 out of the top 5. Dang. And shout outs to the North America region, where the number 1 player was an NRS player. Bam! Second place player was a Street Fighter player. Bam! Wow, they both have obviously played a lot of games over the years. All right, enough trolling. Let's move on to upcoming stuff. Of course, as we talked about before, the Commentator Cup is going to happen on Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, September 24th. The Commentator Cup. Watch many of your favorite commentators play Guilty Gear Strive on twitch.tv/UltraChenTV. We'll be doing the hard stuff, the important stuff, the stuff that actually gets respect, commentating. Sitting there, commentating. Thanks to everybody who's
also running the bracket. Thank you very much.
That's true, actually. Yep, correct.
Gathering all these commentator nerds.
I made it work so that now you can do exclamation point Matcherino in the chat, and you can.
What do you mean you made it work? I put it in there already. I put it in during
What?
Well, I can tell you with certainty that I made that work.
I
So
put
you're
it
welcome.
in during the stream. I literally put that in while we were streaming. Right after we talked about it, I put it in there.
So did I.
What?
What?
Well, whoever put that one, that's the one we got. How about that?
You
That's the one that I
deleted
put
mine.
in.
You
That's
deleted mine.
also that's also the wrong. Oh no, that's the right one for.
You deleted my tweet.
Dude, there's not a
Deleted
tweet.
my command.
There's no tweet here, old
Okay,
man.
so what happened is we both signed onto it at the same time. You put it in and then pressed save, and then I must have done save like slightly after that, and then mine is the one that saved. So congratulations to me.
This is why I never play David in fighting games, man.
See,
it's just
he's
like
a wild card. You have no idea. What
I
he's thinking.
completely by accident have managed to win without even realizing that there was a competition.
Golly.
Apparently. Okay. All right. Also, CPT UK and Ireland is happening this weekend. Let's get to the mailbag.
Let's go through them. We have 13 minutes.
Jesus. Okay. Mailbag. First question from Stephanie Brownback via Twitter. With spooky season upon us, regale us with tales of your best and worst Halloween costumes.
With the Mortal Kombat K. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's her brand. She's very consistent.
NRS just with the propaganda hard. Anyways, one time I made myself into a cell phone, and if we have more time, I'll go get a picture and show you guys. But I took a cardboard box, and I had some paint in my garage, and I painted it like the color of this shirt, actually. And then I cut out the other side of the box and made a bunch of numbers. And this is when flip phones were still a thing. So the flap coming down was where the speaker for the mouth would go. And I was a flip phone for Halloween. I literally just cut it so it stuck around my arms. And
That sounds hilarious.
that was probably my best
Would you
one. It was
describe
pretty
that-
funny.
Okay, that was my question. Is this the best or the worst?
That was definitely the best, yeah. The worst is a much higher quality thing, but ever since I've been like, I don't know, mid-20s, I just wear my dragon onesie to Halloween parties
Right.
because I'm lazy and it's easy to unbutton to pee. And if I'm at a party, I'm probably going to be having some beers, so I want to be able to pee.
That's very relevant.
That's it, yeah. It's just the worst because I do it over and over again.
Okay.
And I'll probably keep doing it over and over again until the thing falls apart.
My best is probably my Disco Jew outfit, which I love very dearly.
Like
From
Disco
Simpsons?
Stew?
Like Disco
Yes, that's
Stew?
the joke.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that's correct. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just me with like a
With the
Jew
chest hairs
fro,
out?
and yes, the chest hair is definitely happening big time. And I actually went to a what do they call those stores where they resell things that people used to own?
Pawning shops?
Like a thrift shop or whatever. Yeah. something like that.
James and with pawn shop, you thrift a thrift store.
Yeah.
Salvation
anyway,
Army, etc.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember the name of it. Anyway, it's a big store in LA. That's very famous.
OnStars.
In conclusion, and I bought all these old actual 70s polyester clothes. So it actually looks really
Don't get set on
really
fire.
good. I bought like a really sick gold chain for it. Great outfit. And my worst was I would say was probably
The dirty dishes on your bed.
The 6th straight year of Disco Jew was probably my worst.
Yeah. All right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my best was when I was a little kid. I didn't realize it at the time, but I dressed as Ryu. I put on a karate gi with a black belt and a red headband, and this was like 10 years before Street Fighter 2 ever came out.
Okay, all right.
So that was pretty cool. My worst costume was probably when I was a little kid. I didn't realize it at the time, but I dressed as Ryu because I put on a white gi and a black belt and a red headband. And this was like 10 years before Street Fighter 2. The reason why I say that is because that is the only costume I've ever dressed up for in Halloween my entire life.
So wait,
True
no, wait,
story.
hold on. So you only dress up for Halloween once, or you still yearly wear that costume today?
I've only dressed up one time for Halloween.
Okay. I mean, I figured, but come on, that would have been incredible.
One out
if
of
you had the
45
Gi on.
years. One out of 45 years have I ever dressed up for a Halloween costume.
Well, it's not a great.
That was the
ratio,
only
I'll be
time
honest.
I'd ever gone trick-or-treating. That was the only time I ever gone trick-or-treating was for that. I dressed up, went trick-or-treating, and that was it. I've never been trick-or-treating since.
All right.
Okie
Next
dokie.
question.
We move on.
Yep.
Can't believe it.
All right. So, I mean, dude, I carved my first pumpkin last year thanks to Olaf
That's true.
and
I
Kitty,
saw you do it.
So, yeah. Jiggly Purin via Twitter asks, Geese Howard, Dictator, Heihachi Mishima, fuck, marry, and kill.
Well, this is super easy, right?
Okay.
You can't kill Heihachi, so you got to fuck him. Geese is.
You could marry him.
No, because Geese is rich, so you marry Geese, and then you kill Bison. This is easy, done.
I mean, for
Wait,
me,
who did you marry?
I married Geese. I'm trying to get that
Geese.
money.
You married Geese.
Geese is loaded.
Okay, I might switch Geese and Dictator, but I mean that's a good answer otherwise.
I would kill Dictator.
They
Because
almost be rich. They almost be rich though.
He's terrifying. Geese Howard is probably the hottest one, so probably fuck him. And then I would probably marry Heihachi because then I would be in Tekken 7. I would have been added to Tekken 7 at that point in time.
Okay, yeah.
And I would have a giant pet tiger
That's a
that
good
I could
one.
attack people with. So that's basically what it is. So
All right,
Yeah.
move on.
16-bit. Geese is way better looking than Heihachi and much younger.
I definitely.
So I'd
agree
rather
with that.
marry the person that's closer to my age than the 112-year-old man.
On the other hand, wouldn't you rather maybe marry the rich, very old guy?
No,
who
but
you don't
he
have to
can't
actually be around
die.
for that long?
He's immortal. He can't die.
Is he immortal? I don't know.
You
I've never
know?
played Tekken Story mode.
He's been tossed into volcanoes and just brushed it off.
All right, well.
all right. Phil Rufio via Twitter asks, you died and you must now haunt your house. You can be whatever you want. What are you and what defeats you?
I am a living human. Nailed it! Oh boy, you guys gotta stop giving me these
But it said you
obvious
died.
loopholes. Yeah,
But
you died.
you died.
However, next sentence, you can be whatever you want. Got it. Nailed it. Huge loophole that I have waltzed all the way through, and I now am immortal myself.
You haunt your house as a human.
Yeah. Except
All right.
a living one.
David won. I can't answer better than that. David won.
Gotta stop giving me these loopholes. Come on. What defeats me?
Bullets, cancer, COVID-19. Like, do you need better answers? You're a human.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much everything. That's true.
What would I haunt my house with? What would I haunt my house with? I don't know what I would haunt my house with. Maybe I would haunt my house with as kid costumed as Ryu. Oh man. All right, whatever. David ruined that question again. So
Keep going, David. We needed that one. We're falling behind. We got 5 minutes.
Let's move on.
All right. Tabby Nat via Twitter asks, what's the best thing that's ever happened to you? David is going to have to think about this one very carefully because he's the only one that's married.
Oh boy.
Can we get Kentley to watch the stream right now?
So, most of the best stuff that's happened to me in my life, I don't want to talk about publicly. So I'll just say joining the UCTV crew.
Oh, that's very cute.
That's kind of sad. I mean, to be honest, because we suck.
I mean, there's way better things that have happened to me. I'm just not telling the internet about them.
Okay.
That makes sense. I guess I would say. Who'd you say I was married to? Kentley.
Yeah, that's your wife.
That's
my
my wife. We're married. Let's see.
She's like, choose your next words wisely, David.
Texting Kentley now, dude. Texting Kentley now here. Please watch the stream at twitch.tv.
I would say the best thing that's ever happened to me is the night that we met was giving her the wrong number, which I did.
How did you do that? How did you give her the wrong number? Why did you give her the wrong
And
number?
why is that the best night?
Okay, so here's the story. So we met, everything had worked out, everything went well while we were talking. I guess I had a couple of drinks probably, or maybe,
I guess,
or maybe a few more than that. I don't know, maybe a lot. Anyway, don't be weird about it. I gave her my number, and I gave her the wrong one. I mean, it was like, however many numbers there are, one of them was wrong. So
you were ghosting her. Oh my god!
I intended to give her the right number. Anyway, then it doesn't. She never calls me, as far as I know. And I met another girl, and we were going together for about a month, and everything was great, except for when she broke up with me, and my heart was broken. And then
I remember that. You were torn up on IRC texting me.
Horrible, yeah. And then the same friend who introduced Kentley and me in the first place, a mutual friend of ours, had a pity party for me where it was going to be like David's girlfriend broke up with him, so let's just get together, we'll hang out and make him feel better. And he invited Kentley to that, which I don't really know why, but he did. And when she heard about it, she thought that she would come and basically chew me out. She knew that she didn't know the reason why the party was being thrown. She just knew that it was happening, and she wanted to come and just yell at me. How could I give her the wrong number? So I went there, and she was there, and she at first was kind of giving me a glary eye, and then a little bit of the way through the night, she I guess had found out like why we were there. This girl had broke up with me, and so she went over, and now she couldn't be the jerk that she had. Dude,
of course she could have. She should
probably could have still, but she didn't. And so she was just like, "Hey, you gave me the wrong number," and I was like, "I didn't mean to. I meant to give you my real number. Here's my real number." So anyway, we've been together ever since that. But I think the reason that I think that's cool is that not only did it lead to me, marrying the woman who I love, but also it gave me like a hilarious story. Imagine if the way that I met the woman I love was some boring story where we were just at a party and we met and we like got each other's number and everything worked out well and there was no funny story at all. Boring. That would have been a bummer. Instead, it comes with this really funny baked in origin story that I super love, and it made it even better in my opinion. So that's my answer.
I mean,
all right, James, best thing ever.
I mean, it would be maybe one of these things here, maybe grabbing these cats over here. I did also get really some amazing news very recently, actually. But like Tubo said, it's probably something I can't really talk about. So,
well, why the hell don't me and David know? This is worse shit.
Yeah, but it was really. I got some really good news recently, and I was actually really happy. So,
oh, glad to hear that, dude.
Yeah, that's cool.
But hey, what's up, C4? What's going on? Raiding with the party of 27.
Thanks for the raid.
Hey,
what's
sick.
up, C4? Yeah. True.
Well,
enemy.
Congratulations on your recent news.
Yeah, something like that, Mac. Something like that. So.
All right, cool.
But,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. So, any case, let's go to the next question. Last question. This one comes from...
Yeah, it was a cute story. I like that story.
Dubu Domo via Discord asks, if the hosts were a Marvel team, who would we point, assist, and anchor? Or would a different team composition make more sense?
I mean, I think the best answer to this is that we've all been each of them over the years. And not just even over the years, but, for different, even more recent things. Tobo's definitely been anchor on Commentator Cup, for example. I don't know, maybe point is a better way to put it because you came up with the idea. I don't know. It's
I mean,
it's
have
hard
you
to say.
seen him tackle people? I mean, we see it every week. I would put him on point because he would just tackle the hell out of everybody.
I like it.
And then I would probably be assist or secondary, and David would probably be anchor because by then he would have already grabbed all the evidence, and then he would be able to lawyer up and go, objection, and then activate, and he would become super powered mode.
So get evidence as an assist?
Yeah, basically.
That would be
or something
sick.
like that. Yeah,
It
I
should
would.
be an assist.
Maybe that's what I do. I build meter. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Definitely don't rely on me to have any physical victories. My joints are held on by thread. Probably wouldn't be the best for me to be involved.
You can be our coach.
I'll be the coach. That actually, yeah, it's a Marvel Infinite team, and you guys are.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, or it's a ratio team, and me and James do the ratio. And
You're the lawyer gem. That's what you are right now, David.
Yeah, I'll
Oh,
be the
no.
gem. I'll be
You're the lawyer gem.
don't equate David to
Actually,
Street Fighter
no,
Cross.
that's wrong. I would have to be the gem, right? Because I'm Gems Chen.
That's true.
Oh
That's true.
boy.
I've already been Gems Chen, so we're MVCI. I am definitely
Big
the
facts.
salt gem. That's
Power
what I am.
Stone.
I am definitely the
Time
any
Stone.
case.
You've had a lot of time.
All right, we've done it. We did it.
Congratulations, everybody. All right.
Video
cool.
games.
Another Tuesday show in the books. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us, everybody. Again, please do watch on Friday afternoon, Pacific time.
Yeah,
5 p.m.
Commentator Cup. It's going to be dope.
It will
Come
be
cheer
really
for your boy Sajam. I know all you Sajam fans are out there chomping at the bit, ready to see him win a tournament. So
Well, I hope that everybody in the chat, I hope that every commentator, I should say, has somebody in the chat pumping them up because they're all
For
good
sure.
folks. They're all good commentators. And
I actually really hope that Sajam does use Gold Lewis, because I'll be honest with you, if I had to pick a secondary character right now, Gold Lewis is kind of in that running right now, because I just like the concept of him. I know he's not
Gold
great,
Lewis is super
but-
underrated. No,
He's
he
good.
is
He's good.
so
He's
good.
and that's
That
the thing.
character, that
Yeah,
character is a top
when
5.
I-
I think he's
when I watch,
so good.
When I watch Kid Viper play him, dude, it's freaking terrifying, dude. So
yeah, that character is wild.
I
He's
think
a
that
good
character is very underrated, underrated. So
All right. Well, James and I are going to be done with streaming. However, is there news from the other guy? What are you going to be doing?
I'm gonna stream, so come hang out.
all right.
When are you
I'm gonna
doing
watch. I'm gonna watch YouTube videos and hang out, and we can talk about Commentator Cup. But there's a new All Gas No Breaks, aka Channel 5 news with Andrew Callaghan. And if you guys have never seen this before, you should probably tune in and watch because perfect,
Yeah,
the greatest
fantastic.
YouTube channel on YouTube.
that? All right, dude. Thanks,
Bye
everybody.
guys, later.